off since 1945 when we set this policy. So we set out, and together with my partners, Jameson Greer and Scott Bessett, we set out to change that. So we started, the first one was the UK deal, right? We asymmetric, they pay us 10%, and we get charged nothing. That allows us to export, and that began the process. Then we did the biggest, the European Union, 450 million people, $20 trillion economy. They completely opened their borders to us, and we charge them 15%. That makes America $100 billion a year and turns it back to where our economy is the best. And so it proved that President Trump's trade agenda was the right trade agenda. Then we go to Japan and Korea. They offer us $750 billion in cash to build in America at the president's direction. And we're going to start, as an example, nuclear, right? We need to have a nuclear arsenal in America of power, the generation of power. So we're going to build hundreds of billions of dollars, financed by the Japanese and the Koreans, meaning they give us the money, we build it here, and we split the cash flow 50-50. We're going to build ships, $150 billion worth of ships in America. That changes the way things work, right? After those trade deals, then you go to how are we going to reshore, right? Let's start talking about the auto industry, right? We've been competed against by Koreans, the Japanese, the Europeans. We're kicking our tail. President Trump
sewage and trash from overflowing into the river. And later this decade, DC Water will build the final tunnel, the Piney Branch Tunnel.
Welcome in on this cold and rainy Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. James Brierton is also here in studio. Hello, James. How are you doing?
I'm good, Nick. I'm good. I'm nice and warm inside.
No.
Though the morning commute was slow.
Morning commute was messy, but let's get to it because we have a bit of something happening out there on the roads. James, talk about what's going on right now.
We've got a crash that's been cleared to the left shoulder now, Nick. This is in South Charlotte. We're looking at I-77 northbound, I believe, coming towards us here. It's off on the left shoulder. So all three lanes are open. Traffic is moving a little bit slower than usual, but this did start with 1 or 2 lane closures, and now authorities have reopened traffic in both directions. This is give or take in the Tyvola area, but we're still watching on radar right now, Nick. A couple rain showers still working their way out.
Lingering, yeah.
So a little bit better than it was this morning. It was an icy start in the mountains where a couple schools had delayed starts or went remote because of icy weather there. And we'll be talking to Brittany later on, I think, about what's in store for later in the week.
Yep, at 2:30, Brittany will be here to give us an update on, I think it's going to get wet on Friday again, so we're going to do this again. But first, we want to get now, happening live, President Trump is having his cabinet meeting. We just heard from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. And this comes the day after the administration insists the secondary strike on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean Sea in a September U.S. military operation was lawful. So, again, we heard from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Now we're hearing from other members within the Trump administration cabinet. Let's take a listen in.
Under boot edge, and it's supposed to be boot edge. Who's another grossly incompetent person? He'd get in his bicycle, ride to work, and he was just terrible. What they do is they take the fiber optics and they take fiber trying to hook it into copper, and fiber and copper don't mix. You can't do it. But people knew that for the last 30 years since they started doing the fiber. And they spent billions of dollars, and it didn't work. And you saw that by the helicopter crash. You saw that by Into the Plane. You saw that by a lot of things. So we're doing a brand new air traffic control system, and it's going to be the best, and it's going to be from top to bottom. And we have the 3 top companies in the world bidding on it. And it's going to be one bid, and we're going to have one company responsible, and it'll be the best system. And it's going to make this. Look, our skies are safe. Otherwise, we wouldn't let people fly. But we're going to have the safest skies. We're going to have the best system anywhere in the world. We're also going to rebuild Dulles Airport because it's not a good airport. It should be a great airport, and it's not a good airport at all. It's a terrible airport. It was incorrectly designed with a good building. Actually, it's got a beautiful terminal. Saarinen was the architect, one of the greatest architects in the world at the time, a great architect. And so they have a great building and a bad airport. But we're going to turn that around, and we're going to make Dulles Airport serving Washington and Virginia, Maryland, etc. We're going to make that into something really spectacular. We have an amazing plan for it. And other things, but you're doing a really good job. I appreciate it.
The people movers of Dulles, we had a crash recently, so we're going to announce that later today. A request for bids on this, but again, it's a not a great airport, which we can make great in this administration, Mr. President.
We have a design that's amazing for Dulles. It's going to take Dulles and make it a really bad. It was a badly designed airport. We're going to make it into as good as there is in the country. It'll be exciting. Okay, please.
All right. Well, Mr. President, it's good to be here at this meeting because in 1 year you can look around the table and see the change. And I think one of the biggest changes is how this cabinet works together. And I want to start there. There's often been said, I found out some things this year that I didn't know, that the Department of what was Defense, now Department of War, and the Veterans Department had never really communicated. Now, we're fraternal twins, in a way. Pete and I are. He lifts better, I'm better looking. But in looking at this, I mean, he brings them in. He keeps them for a number of years, up to 20 or longer, and then they come into what the country is committed to our veterans. And if you don't have both ends working correctly, then recruitment lags, morale lags, and we've been able to work and fix a great deal of that. I didn't need to change our name, but I did do one thing. I put the veteran back first at the VA. And we did that in 1 year. How did we do that? We started taking things that have been neglected for a long time. and put them back. We had a backlog in which we've dropped over 160,000. We're not talking year-to-year change at the VA. We're talking 5-6 year. We have to go back 5 to 6 year prior COVID numbers to see the change of backlogs that are now reduced. We do it in 6 months instead of the long time it took. In fact, it grew under the Biden administration. It shrank over 160,000 under us. Champ VA, which is a program we have, has basically been back to day to day. It was at a terrible state, which delays and claims and everything's going on. We've got that back. We're doing things like taking a new look. I have one question that I ask when I go to my hospitals, which by the way, over 170 hospitals, 1,200 clinics, and I ask the people one thing, Mr. President. I said, what are you doing right now that if you were just honest and I wasn't standing here, you say, this is stupid? It's been amazing what we've gotten and the feedback that we've had. We've been able to change how we do credentialing, how we do privileging, how we do hiring. We're all working through that, and it has all made a difference for our veterans as we go forward. CMP exams for veterans out there listening. If this is the one where disability claims, where they say, well, let me send you to a doctor to make sure. Most of the time we have that already in the record. We're working now to where those could actually be changed, where we just look at the record and not have to send them to the doctor. That's almost a $3 billion savings that we could let, and also not taking what the veterans get. We're also getting ready to announce here pretty soon a reorganization that's going to bring our hospital system organizationally in line with the 21st century. We are the largest healthcare organization. It's about time we acted like it, Mr. President. You gave that leadership, and we're going to do it. And also one thing, community care contracts getting ready to go out. It's one of the largest contracts in the federal government, but it does exactly what you and I have talked about before, making sure that our veterans can get care in the system or in the community, wherever they want it. We're getting ready for that. Now, I have one thing for all the press who really enjoyed the first of the year, saying, oh, you know, they're going to cut all these jobs, 80,000 this, 80,000 at the VA. Mr. President, every success that I just gave you came after the fact, or pretty much after the fact, that we had 30,000 take early retirement. Early retirement, no risk, although you reported it as loss and risk, you can't help yourself. 30,000 took the retirement. Every bit of the success that I just told you about came with a reduced workforce. There was a motivated workforce that said, how can we take care of veterans? That's what this cabinet does. That's what we're doing for you.
Good. And you've got the highest approval rating we've ever had at the VA, so that tells you something. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Jameson, please.
Well, there's been some activity on trade this year. For about 75 years, we had a system, global trading system that was premised on the United States having totally open borders, right? Not just on immigration, but on goods and services, and everyone else generally kept higher tariffs, higher non-tariff barriers, etc. Obviously, the outcome was we had a huge trade deficit. You took it head on. You gave all of us who work on the file a lot of leverage. So we spent the past 10 months or whatever we've been doing now just going around the world and flipping the script. So now we're in a situation where we've protected our industries, we have the tariffs, and the other countries have decided to take their tariffs down and non-tariff barriers. And we've done it in a very constructive way. We've achieved agreements on reciprocal trade, which are a new kind of trade agreement that's really focused on making sure we have balanced trade, we have reciprocal trade, that we're treating each other fairly. And it's been embraced by the international community. And it's going to be exciting to see what it's like 5 years, 10 years from now, because you've changed it. And that's how it's going to be now. And I think you should be commended for it, and we look forward to seeing what comes in the next few years.
Thank you very much. You're doing great. He's doing a great job. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last time I was here, I said that the amount of dereg that we had for regulatory was 30-1. Since then, it's up to 48-1. Your goal had been 10-1, which was in excess of 6-1 in the first term. It's actually much higher than that, but I made my team redo the threshold a little bit because it sounded so unbelievable. But the amount of work that's being done with this entire team is astronomical. And another detail in that is that when we propose a rule, some of the biggest ones that you care the most about don't go into that count until they are finalized. So next year we should be even more eye-popping. One of those to talk about is the federal acquisitions regulations, which you gave us a charge 6 months ago to dramatically reduce. In 6 months, we've lowered it by 25%, 500 pages, 2,700 mandates, which is a third of the mandates. That's going to lead to savings, competition, and speed. So probably $40 billion for the agencies in savings over the course of 10 years. When we get up and running, it'll be north of between $200 and $400 billion. Competition about 45% of government bids only have one bidder. So you got no competition in that situation. That will now change, and then we're just getting faster, months, and hopefully we turn it into years, which means you all around this table can buy quickly, and that you have better vendors to come, many of them small businesses who want to participate in the federal procurement process. So making all sorts of improvements on that front is very exciting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Great on the regulations. We're cutting them at levels never seen before. And I have the record from the first 4 years, but we're blowing that record away, so it's been really great. Good. Scott?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Great to be with everyone. And, you know, when you were giving your report, which was fantastic, and I listened to the report of all my colleagues here and those that will come, it reminds me when I played in the NFL, we had this thing called game film. You know all about film. And we had a saying that said, the film don't lie. The film tells a real story. And I hope that the American people, when they watch the film that's going on now in this time in our history, that they will see that America is greater today than it ever has been. And so I thank you for that. And thank you for giving us good stories that we can tell for the American people.
Scott, we're saving our country.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I don't want to be braggadocious. We're saving our country. Our country was going down and would never have been able to come back. We're saving all of us, but we're saving our country. All right, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. So at Housing and Urban Development, in keeping with your executive order, sir, in making America's streets safe and beautiful again, we've been very intentional about making public housing in our country safe. And I want people to know, our colleagues know this, but people in America know that we actually care about people that live in public housing around our country. A lot of public housing is wrought with crime, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, illicit drugs, illegal aliens living in public housing, but we've put them on notice to let you know that it's not lost on us. We care about the people, we're paying attention to it, and we're going to root out crime in public housing. We've been very focused on working with the Memphis Safe Task Force, the DC Safe and Beautiful Task Force, working with Pam and Christy and others, and law enforcement. Our law enforcement is tremendous. Every single night they go out and they go to public housing to make sure that our people are safe, mothers and children are safe. And so at HUD, you know, it's a different day. We're running new plays. The film was real bad when I came in, I'm going to be honest. But we are giving the people that live in public housing the assurance that they will be safe. And we also announced a new crime hotline, sir, that people that live in public housing, if they see criminal activity, if they see illegals living there, if they see drug trafficking, if you see it, if you hear it, report it. Don't be afraid. And so work with our Office of Inspector General. We've set up this crime hotline, and also working with Christy and Department of Homeland Security, making sure that everyone that lives inside of public housing is accounted for and that they are American people. And so I say that and I emphasize that to know that we prioritize American people and American people only. Lastly, sir, in Atlantic City, we took over the Atlantic City public housing because the living conditions were deplorable. And they have people that have been living there for 3 generations and they were being treated very bad. And so I took it so that we can now give people a safe place to stay. And working with the First Lady in the Foster Youth Initiative has been a great joy for me and our team. So thank you for doing that executive order to make sure that our foster youth have a safe landing pad and have financial literacy as they age out of the foster youth system. And so you talked about affordability. HUD has supported over 1 million Americans in home ownership and affordability, and over 560,000 are first-time home buyers. So I hope that the press will write about that good news, that 1 million people are able to own a home and to refinance their homes. And so we are moving our building from DC to Alexandria, Virginia. So thank you for your support. We're going to save the American people about $500 million. So that's my report. Thank you, sir.
All right, you're watching live there. President Trump's cabinet meeting taking place. You just heard from Scott Turner, HUD secretary within that cabinet. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. James is also here in studio. So we want to go now. We've been going back and forth with this trial, and we want to take you there shortly. So the trial I'm speaking of is the murder trial of Brian Walsh. It got underway yesterday with testimony beginning yesterday. So Walsh is accused of killing his wife and dismembering her body on New Year's Day back in 2023. This led to a massive search across eastern Massachusetts in hopes of recovering any sign of the mother of three. Again, that trial is underway. Testimony is continuing today. Let's take a listen.
Just see that there's more pages. I forget the exact dates. Thank you. Just want to double check. Thank you. There's not.
And then starting at January 7th at 3:58 p.m., what is the first search?
That's listed here. It says Chase credit card login Google search.
And can you give us a page and a record number?
Yes. In the book, page 906, record number 3195.
Thank you. So did you look at any searches prior to January 1st?
Yes.
And I'd like to start with page 521. Looking at page 521, Ms. Gilman. Looking at 521, record 1938. I'm sorry, 1939, please. Trooper, can you tell me what time this occurred?
Yes. It says January 1st, 2023 at 3:49:39 a.m.
And can you tell me what's happening in this record number?
It shows the URL for accounts.google.com for it's like the Gmail, a login through the web.
And going to 1940, record 1940 on the next page, that being 522, does that continue?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And going to page 524, does that continue until record 1947?
Yes, it does.
And what date and time does that end?
The last one shows January 1st, 2023, 3:50:06 a.m. And then the following is about an hour later.
Thank you. Now looking at page 225 into 226, record 825.
Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. James is here in studio. So we want to come back here home. We want to talk about something that's very important for not only our community, but here at WCNC Charlotte. It's an annual tradition. It actually started like right before Magical Toy Drive. And I remember thinking, what is the Magical Toy Drive? Because I came here from Raleigh, started here at WCNC Charlotte, and it's just an amazing effort. If you don't know, it is a milestone and is a holiday tradition here at WCNC Charlotte. We're partnering with the Salvation Army to make sure kids, thousands of kids across our area, have something to unwrap under the tree come Christmas time. And this is the 25th year that we're helping so many families here in our area. And we have the pleasure of having Brent Reinhardt, Salvation Army Community Relations, here in studio on Live Impact News. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
How have you been this morning? I know it's been a busy morning.
Busy.
We had the phone bank. How's it been so far this morning?
Busy, but what better day than Giving Tuesday to be talking about such an important effort? So we're excited about it.
Oh man, I know I kind of gave like my sort of version of the Magical Toy Drive to explain to folks out there who are not familiar, because we get a lot of people that move into the area who are not familiar with Magical Toy Drive.
Yeah, so this is just an effort to make sure that children in our community, from families who are in need, have an opportunity to experience the joy of Christmas.
Yeah.
We just believe that every child should have that opportunity, regardless of their circumstances. And so we've been honored to be able to partner with WCNC for 25 years, as you mentioned, to help provide Christmas joy. And so families in need register with our program in the month of September usually, and that's when we make sure that we're serving those who need us most. And then those that are then paired up with the toys that are donated or the money that's been provided to purchase toys. We match up wish lists with those toys and make sure that they're able to be provided to those kids in need this holiday season.
Or some of the things folks are donating, because my inner child gets excited when I see some of the toys. I think we have a donation box out there by our interest, but some of the toys that you've seen come across.
Oh yeah, it's all the stuff that you can imagine. From sports equipment to bikes to scooters to things for older kids like STEM kits and jewelry making kits and things like that. Baby dolls, of course. All of those types of things are really exciting.
I'm so tempted to hop on one of those bikes. I'm like, it's not for me, it's for the kids. What is the need this year? I know things are tight for a lot of families. But I guess, and also too, some of the challenges, are you guys facing any challenges when it comes to donations?
Yeah, so we get this question quite a bit in terms of how one year compares to the other, and I don't really like to think of it that way, because for a family in crisis, it could be regardless of the environment, there could be a family in crisis. It could be unexpected medical bills. It could be a car accident. It could be a house fire. It could be unexpected job loss that puts a family in crisis. And so, our focus is really just to make sure that families don't have to make a hard choice between putting food on the table or paying their rent or providing gifts for their children. And so that's the importance of a program like this. As it gives families hope that there are people out there in the community that care about them, that want to see them successful and thriving. Because when one of us is in need, we're all in need. Our community's best when everyone's able to thrive, and so that's really what motivates us in this work.
And we have some video up, and you can see it right there on the screen right beside you from, you know what that is. That's Carolina Place Mall, Belk. The big day this Saturday. We're going to be out there all day. That is such a special day, because it really, I know for a lot of folks, like, Christmas season really gets underway, like Thanksgiving. But that, for me, that kind of kicks off Christmas, because it's like everybody's in such a great mood. People are talking to you. They're giving, some like carloads full of toys. What is that like for folks, again, who are new to the area or maybe seeing it on TV? What is that like being there in person?
Oh, it's amazing. Just being around people that are, in that Christmas spirit, if you want to call it that, and just seeing all the donations that come in. Last year, we ended up filling up 2 trucks full of toys. So we're just excited about it, because we know that each one of those toys, we know what that represents. And so to see that kind of outpouring of support is very special.
Oh man, it's I look forward to it. Again, we have it up there on your screen from I believe that was last year's event. For folks who can't make it on Saturday, what are some other ways they can donate, they can contribute to this campaign?
Well, obviously, we're speaking on Giving Tuesday, and so this is a great day to get involved. If you can't purchase a toy and come out to see us on Saturday, you can make a financial donation. Obviously, the call bank has been open earlier; will be open again later. But you can also make a donation 24/7 on the website. So that's either at WCNC.com or on our website at SalvationArmyCharlotte.org. Either one of those spots, you can find a donation link for the Magical Toy Drive, and we use use those funds to help to support the program, to purchase particular types of toys that we might have short supply of. And so those financial donations are critical.
Yeah. Oh man, and perfect day for you to be here, Giving Tuesday. Before I let you go, I just because I know some of the conversations I have out there in the toy drive at Carolina Place Mall. What's some of the conversations from folks who drop off donations? What are those conversations like? Have you gotten a chance to speak to some of the folks that are dropping off toys?
Yeah, I mean, for some, it's a family tradition.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for years, and it's a part of their experience. So they'll bring their kids out. They'll bring toys that way, and so that's always fun to see. Parents passing along a tradition to their family. Of course, people want to come out and talk to Larry. Larry's a big hit at the event, so that's always fun to see people, reminiscing with him about other places that they've seen him and things like that. So it's a lot of fun.
But my first year, again, new to the area, and some lady nudged me. She was like, "Do you know Larry?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know Larry." All right, Britt Reinhardt with the Salvation Army, man. Thank you for stopping by the studio. Again, the phone lines open up during our 4 o'clock newscast and throughout the evening, so make sure you call in, but also you can donate on our website, and make sure if you have some time, come out Carolina Place Mall, donate, say hi to me, say hi to Larry, say hi to Brent, say hi to everybody that's out there. Brent, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. That's how I felt when I walked out the door this morning, because it was rain, cold. James got in here earlier than I did, so it was a little colder, a little rainier probably when you left this morning.
Live conditions outside are improving. I can start to see the skyline from our studios here near the airport.
I thought you were going to say, I can see clearly now the rain is gone.
Come back to me in 2 hours.
Okay. That's a live look, man, courtesy of our WCNC Charlotte tower cam right there. Again, it was an icy start. Let's get a full look at our forecast with Becca Birdsall.
Forecast on this Tuesday. We were weather alert earlier this morning because of the widespread rain and the colder temperatures. Becca joins us now. Are we still weather alert, Becca?
We're ending that weather alert officially now here at noon. Rain has moved out, but it is going to be cloudy and chilly for the rest of today. Likely not seeing improving conditions until we get into your Wednesday. If you didn't like today, well, I have some bad news for you, because we've got another round of cold rain and some winter weather expected to mix in for your Friday and this week. Get the layers out, because it's going to be a chilly one. Satellite radar, this is a loop of the past 12 hours. In that pink, well, that was freezing rain. We saw minor ice accumulations between about 1/10 to 1/4 in the mountains and foothills. A glaze of ice is the local store reports that we saw from this system. But now, much of that rain is already pushed off to the east. We've just got some patchy drizzle and some low clouds that continue to settle up, some very spotty light showers. These will continue throughout the afternoon. Now, eventually, as the system continues to push off to the east, a high pressure system will take over, and that's going to bring drier conditions for both Wednesday and Thursday before our next system arrives going in for Friday. But that high pressure system isn't going to be warming us up much. Outside now, it's cloudy, 41 degrees, damp here in the Charlotte area, 40 in Statesville, 42 over in Wadesboro, and 43 over towards Ashe County in Jefferson. We'll see temperatures continue to rise into the middle to upper 40s for the rest of the afternoon. Clouds eventually clearing out late tonight. That is going to allow for a cold morning to start off your Wednesday, likely dipping below that freezing mark for many of us, waking up to the lower to middle 30s, upper 20s even over towards Hickory, and 23 to start over in Boone. Cold mornings is what we'll have in the forecast going into this weekend and early next week, all in that frost and freeze zone. Tomorrow, chilly sunshine is what we have in the forecast. So despite the sun, it's not going to be warming up much, well below average in the middle to upper 40s, few locations hitting 50. Then by Thursday, more clouds, highs in the 50s, but then here comes that next rain system. Notice that high temperature of 40 degrees. That's cold rain that we're expecting, and potentially some wintry mix. We're starting to get a better idea of how Friday is going to unfold with this newest high resolution model. So this comes a little bit earlier, and it has cold air in place, especially up towards the high country. So this is 2 a.m. on your Friday morning. During the overnight hours, we've got some snow and rain mixing in, I'd say from the mountains all the way alongside I-40. And then in the pink, that's a mix. It gets very close here to the Charlotte metro as temperatures continue to stay in the 30s. This will something to keep an eye on as we go into next week, but we've got a lot to fine tune between now and then, as there's a lot of differences in between the models, such as timing and temperatures. Those are two things that are going to highly depend on what sort of winter weather or precipitation that we see going into the end of the work week. We do know that we'll carry a rain chance into Friday afternoon, Friday evening. Some lingering showers possible for your Saturday, but I'd say mainly dry. So if you're headed off to the ACC Championship, know that there might be a light shower or two, but it is looking pretty dry for that. But it's going to be chilly in this Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day. Our average high is 58 degrees. We'll do all below that going into this week ahead. We'll see briefly drier conditions and sunshine finally back into the forecast for your Wednesday. More clouds for Thursday. Here comes that next cold rain system and potentially some winter weather to mix in for Friday. Drier as we go towards the weekend, warming back up at least to the upper 40s, low 50s.
Yeah, this cold weather's not going anywhere anytime soon. I hate to break it to you guys, but it is technically winter, right, James? Technically winter.
Meteorologically.
There you go. I got that wrong yesterday. I got it right today. All right, so let's switch gears. Let's come back or stay here at home. All right, so when we talk about this organization, we talk about baseball. But, I guess it fits the theme today because today is football weather outside. And they're having a big flag football event this weekend. I'm talking about the Not Whole Foundation. They're partnering with New Age Flag Football to host a Queen City Showdown, a community flag football event taking place Saturday, December 6th at Richard, or we call it the Stick, but Richard Stick Williams Dream Fields and Education Center from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Of course, we have our guide, Tommy Viola, with Not Whole Foundation. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. You know what? That cold weather can go away. It's funny. It is cold out there. I moved here to Charlotte to get away from the cold, and it is cold.
Oh, yeah. I looked at the 7-day, and I'm like, it's going to be here for a while.
It's going to be here for a little bit, and you're right. Not necessarily baseball weather, but it is flag football weather, I think.
Yeah. But before we get to that, I want to mention it is Giving Tuesday. We mentioned this earlier. We had the Salvation Army on earlier. Giving Tuesday, for folks who are not familiar, and I made this point earlier, there's so many folks that move to the area and they just are not familiar with our nonprofits. We have a lot of nonprofits. We have a lot of great organizations. For those who are not familiar with the Not Whole Foundation, Can you talk about what you guys do?
Absolutely, and you're so right too. With today being Giving Tuesday, there are so many great nonprofits in this area, right here in Charlotte. And for us, we're the Knothole Foundation. We're located in the West Charlotte area, off of Tuckasegee Road. We have a beautiful facility where we strive every day to bring kids out to this facility and to provide access and opportunities to underserved kids. And it's not just baseball or softball, but it's also educational programming, and really excited about some of the things we have coming up. Obviously, as we wrap up 2025 and going into 2026, we're looking at after-school programs. I mean, we're looking at some really special opportunities to get kids into our facility, and like I said, not just provide baseball or softball, but also education. So the Knothole Foundation was formed in 2018 and broke ground on a beautiful facility, as you mentioned, the Richard Stick Williams Dreamfields and Education Center back in 2019, and been around now for about 6 or so years, and it just continues to grow, and thousands of kids that have come through that facility each and every year. And for me, and I've said it many times, I'm that baseball guy. I just love baseball, but the opportunity to work with kids has been really special, and it's important. Giving Tuesday is a very important day, certainly as a nonprofit, and today is an opportunity. Donations go a long way with us, and it helps provide kids access. As we know, and we've talked about it before, baseball is an expensive sport.
Oh yeah,
and equipment and all these different things. So we do our best to help out in a number of different ways. And so today is an important day, and really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, I mean, and I feel like, of course, and thank you for coming on. I do want to point out, man, 2025, man, it's been a big year for you guys. I mean, y'all have done a lot. It's like every week there's something. I'm not saying years before there wasn't anything happening, but I feel like 2025 has been a big year. Am I wrong for that?
No, you're right. I mean, I've been in here a few times, so I must be doing something good.
Doing something right.
But no, the Knothole Foundation, it's just so special to me. I mean, the two people that started the foundation, two former Major League Baseball players that have the biggest hearts of anyone I've ever met. Jeff Schaefer, former Major League Baseball player, and Morris Madden, former Major League Baseball player. These two guys came together and they formed Knothole, and their hope was to get kids back into baseball, and certainly in the underserved community that is West Charlotte. So they've done a lot over the years, and you know what? We've just continued to do even more this year in 2025. Our HBCU Showcase events, our West Side Story event with all the high schools in the West Charlotte area coming together in April. You're right. We did a beautiful back-to-school event with the CMPD and the Charlotte Fire Department. We've done a lot of events, and we want to do more. Yeah. And that's why I'm here. I'm trying to do everything I can to continue to get our name out there, because it is a special organization. And for me, I was a member of their board for a couple of years, and seeing what they were doing and having an opportunity to kind of just jump in and help out has been amazing. And but I will tell you, 2025 has been amazing, and I'm really looking forward to a big 2026.
Dude, hardest working man in Charlotte. I tell him that. I tell you that every time. Hardest working man in Charlotte. And you talk about cool events, man. A cool event coming up. I mentioned off the top of the interview, man, the Queen City Showdown. You do baseball. How did you guys get involved with the flag football? Because that's a big thing. There have been TV shows, and the kids really get into flag football, and it's not just young boys, but also the young ladies as well.
It is, and we're really excited about this. And as you said, I mean, we've been baseball, we've been softball, we've done wiffle ball, blitzball. I mean, we've tried kickball. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an opportunity for kids to get out on a field and have some fun. And if it's something other than baseball or softball, we're all about it. And an opportunity for us to work with New Age flag football. These guys are amazing. I've known them for a number of years. They put on a number of flag football football events, and talking to them, and they're going to put on this wonderful event this Saturday at the Stick, 9 to 3. Teams are all signed up and registered and ready to go. It's young boys and girls from kindergarten to high school competing for fun in the Queen City Showdown. The New Age Flag Football, they're partnering with the ACC on this, so that's going to be really special. The winning teams will be brought out to the ACC Football Championship this Saturday at Bank of America Stadium, and they'll have a chance to be recognized, and we hope maybe there'll be some special guests that come out. So it's going to be a really great day. We're going to have delicious food and concessions available. We're partnering with a great group called a Charter House, who's going to do some delicious pulled pork and barbecue.
Man.
So there'll be great food out there, great drinks. It's going to be an amazing time, and it's just it's an opportunity for us to once again open up our facility and bring out the young girls and boys to have a great time. And it's on our turf field. It's a softball field. Queen's University plays all their home games on the turf field. It's a special place, and we're really excited for it.
Where are the teams coming from? Is it? I'm assuming some in our area. But,
most in our area.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So, and the great thing about New Age Flag Football is they're putting it all together. They have, over 1,500 kids that they work with each and every year, boys and girls, and these guys know what they're doing. So, really excited to partner with them. They'll run all the events. I'll just be running around a little bit and have some fun, but it's going to be really special. And as part of that, it's not just about the play on the field, but we're also going to do a food drive that day as well.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about this food drive? Because we also mentioned it earlier. So many families are choosing between this and that, and sometimes that may not be the food that they're choosing because they have to pay a bill. It has to go to something else, maybe a program for the kid. So this food drive is a really big deal. Can you talk about what you guys are doing?
Absolutely, and I will say, we saw a report from right here from WCNC a few months back that said there's about 6,000 homeless kids in the CMS area, and that struck a chord with us. That's something that we are doing our best to help kids in this area, and what better way to do that than to certainly around the holidays to put a food drive together. So we'll be a collection site this Saturday during the flag football game. If you're coming to the event, bring a non-perishable food item with you. Bring a canned food, bring a sports drink, a bottle of water, bring something that we can then get to our community partners. Our plan is to work with a number of different organizations. We've working with churches in the area to get it to the families and the kids that really need it. So we hope we collect a lot of items this week, and then next week go out and get them into the community. And it's important around the holiday season for sure.
Favorite part about events like what you guys are doing, because you do so much, but and I knew you do a lot of running around, just making sure everything is just in place, and what's your favorite part when you get a chance to settle down?
I'll tell you what it is, and that's easy for me in a sense where we just had a free baseball clinic recently. We hired, and I will say as we're growing, we just brought in Matthew Corlew, who is leading our baseball programming, a former Queen's University baseball player. Oh, man. And we brought in Julia Patton, a former Queen's University softball player, and she's leading our softball programming, and they're putting on free camps and clinics. And about a couple weeks ago, Coach Lou, as we call him, put on a free clinic for boys and girls in baseball, and just seeing the smiles on those kids' faces after running the bases, after hitting the ball, after working with Coach Lou on fielding the proper way, it's seeing those smiles and knowing that these kids are taking something with them, and going back and just knowing that, hey, they're becoming baseball fans, but you know what? And we say it all the time, they're not going to maybe become Major League Baseball players, but they're becoming Major League citizens, and that's important to us. So it's really special for me, and I'd love being out in the field and seeing those smiling faces, and we just love what we do. We really do.
Oh, man, you guys do incredible work. I'd say it again, the busiest man here in Charlotte. Man, you see him everywhere. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for always stopping by.
Yeah, I love it in here.
I'm going to change your middle name. I don't even know what your middle name is, Tommy, but I'm going to change it to Tommy, the busiest man. in Charlotte.
That's not on my
Viola.
birth certificate. It's Anthony, by the way.
We're going to just scrap out Anthony and put busiest man. Tommy, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Again, I just want to mention Naho Foundation partnering with New Age Flag Football for the Queen City Showdown that's happening Saturday at the Stick from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Also, they're hosting a food drive for families in need this holiday season. So thankful for what the Naho Foundation is doing for our community. And also make sure to check them out. It's Giving Tuesday. Tommy, thank you again for stopping by. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to send you now to the cabinet meeting that is happening right now. We took you here earlier. President Donald Trump, along with his cabinet members, are meeting. They've been meeting for a while now. Let's take a listen in to what's being said.
Across our borders, under the previous administration, we are focused on these tasks and this imperative for the American people, and just appreciate your leadership, Mr. President, in empowering us to be able to conduct this service. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. That's right. Merry Christmas. Say it loud and clear. Lee?
Mr. President, your team at the Trump EPA has been crushing it all year to fix the big mess that we inherited and deliver amazing results for the American people. I've had the opportunity to visit all 50 states since confirmation earlier this year, and to hear from real people, where they meet, where they live, and to bring their great ideas and their asks back to us to be able to deliver for them. At the Trump EPA, we have proven that you can both protect the environment and grow the economy. On the environmental front, since you were sworn in earlier this year, we have averaged a big environmental accomplishment every single day. On the 100th day, the 200th day, the 300th day of your presidency, each time we released a list of our top 100 environmental accomplishments. That has included a historic LA wildfire cleanup that you ordered us to complete in record time, which we did, and the Army Corps, under the leadership of our great Secretary of War, did their part as well. The federal government completely did all of the work needed to allow these residents and businesses to be able to rebuild, but poor leadership at the local and state level, unfortunately, is still resulting in these property owners unable to rebuild, and it's wrong. we also were able to reach an agreement with Mexico to be able to implement a plan to permanently end a decades-old raw sewage crisis on the southern border with Mexico. And Secretary Rubio and his team, Chris Landau, Ambassador Johnson, they've been amazing to get that done. On the deregulatory front, we have proudly launched a massive blitz that amounts to the largest deregulatory effort by any agency in the history of the United States. To put some perspective on it, in 1 year, at one agency, we will do more deregulation than entire presidencies have done across all agencies. It's incredible. You could go back across 4-year terms, 8-year terms. You've never seen this much deregulation. One agency, 1 year. In fact, when finalized, the proposed rescission of the 2009 Obama EPA endangerment finding amounts to the largest deregulatory action in the history of the United States of America. From fixing the agency's definition of waters of the United States, which is important for our farmers, our ranchers, and other landowners, to the effort to end electric vehicle mandates and promote consumer choice, eliminating regulations designed to eliminate entire sectors of our energy economy. We're thinking big and we're delivering big. We have reduced terrible derailments on diesel exhaust fluid systems. We're getting water moving faster, new pipelines and power plants built, and we're helping to unleash energy dominance. Mr. President, on the operational front, we have significantly reduced the size of the agency workforce, and we are accomplishing more with less. It's all about priorities, and our focus is on fulfilling our statutory obligations, helping to fast-track project approvals that were taking way too long, and closely following the law, as well as key Supreme Court decisions like Loper-Bright to overturn the Chevron doctrine. We inherited massive backlogs that we have been eliminating all year long. We've been implementing your executive order to end COVID-era remote work. We consolidated real estate, canceled expensive media subscriptions, and closed a Biden EPA museum that none of you knew even existed. I'm sure none of you actually visited. To put it another way, in 2024, the Biden EPA obligated and spent over $60 billion in 1 year, an agency with an operational budget of about $10 billion a year. In their own words, caught on camera, they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic, wasting precious tax dollars to pay off well-connected Obama and Biden officials. And they were doing it without any apology or regret. The Biden EPA, in fact, was amending grant agreements just days before you came into office to reduce agency oversight. But this year, 2025, at the Trump EPA, similar theme that you'll hear from everyone around this table. With our actions canceling wasteful grants and implementing other measures just mentioned, we have saved $30 billion. They spent over $60 billion. We have saved over $30 billion. The bottom line, by the way, is that the Green New scam is dead. It's a new day at the EPA where we will protect the environment and grow the economy. We will deliver on the Trump mandate every day. And we will fight with just one constituency front of mind, and that is the American people. Thank you, Mr. President, for being willing to take a bullet for this country. And if you were to ask me what I'm grateful for, whether it's a Thanksgiving, it's a Christmas, a Hanukkah, a New Year's, any time of year, the fact that this president, after 4 years serving in office, he could have just left it in the rearview mirror and went on to really enjoy retirement. But he is willing to take a bullet for all of you tuning in at home because he believes in his flag, our freedom, our liberties, and to save the greatest country in the history of the world. So I'm grateful this holiday season for you, Mr. President. You're willing to take a bullet for all of us, and by all of us, it's the American public.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, good morning, everyone. Well, in spite of the fact that your charge to me is to fire myself, we've really been incredibly hard at work making sure that we can return education to the states. And as I sit and listen to all the emergencies that we are addressing in this country, from the economy to our borders to everything that we're doing, I would say, sir, that if we do not fix education in our country with this hard reset, that you are expecting. I think the greatest national emergency we could face is our education. Because if we are not going to educate our children, we're going to continue to fall behind the rest of the world. When there are only 30% of 12th graders, 8th graders, and 4th graders that can read at proficiency level, that is an incredibly harsh statement to make about our country. And you told me when you first were elected president, and you looked at, I think, right after you took office, the first NAEP scores, which is the Nation's Report Card, came out and showed how far down we were in educational proficiency in our country. And not only the NAEP scores, but the international scores as well showed us about a third from the bottom. You told me you were not only embarrassed, but you were angry about this, and that we had to do something to change this in our country. And we took a hard look at it, and you absolutely said the bureaucracy of education in Washington is keeping its thumb on preventing growth what we should have, because it's best handled at the state level. Letting states put their programs in place, and some states are going to do it a lot better than others. But it's not going to happen from Washington, D.C. And when I hear things like, well, with no disrespect to any other country in the world that have really great programs, Germany, Sweden, Norway, we hear about this all the time. Point of fact is, they're this big. The United States is this big. We can't do it from Washington, D.C. It has to be done at the state level. So what we've been doing, as Lori brought up, Secretary of Labor brought up, we have a great working relationship. We have already signed and implemented one MOU or interagency agreement to handle the WIOA program and the Perkins grants to make sure it works. I call these, these are programs, pilot programs that we're putting out there. And if these are going to work, we will be able to permanently transfer these programs to other agencies. They're working like a charm. We've taken some of our best people in education. It still operates under the budget of the Department of Education and under the management of the Department of Education, but working with Lori's personnel. And when I hear pushback on that to say, well,
you are taking a listen in to President Trump's cabinet meeting. That's a live look. That's Secretary of Education Linda McMahon speaking right now. All right, so let's come back here at home, and we are going to take a break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. We have been going in and out of this the entire afternoon, but we want to go back to it now. It's happening still. President Trump's cabinet meeting that is taking place right now. We are hearing from RFK Jr., and he is speaking. Let's take a listen in to what he's saying.
Fractures by 50 to 60%. It improves appetite, it improves sleep, it improves energy, it improves happiness. There are tens of millions of women in this country have been deprived of that therapy because of scientific malpractice by the medical cartel. We are now remedying that, and this remedy will now be available to all women who want it during one of the most difficult transitions of their lives. MFN is one of our greatest accomplishments. It would not have happened without you. You were the only person who believed in it. You drove us to get it done. We've now made agreements with the 5 biggest pharmaceutical companies. We have 12 more in the lineup to make agreements. By the time this administration leaves office, 95% of the drugs in this country we will have the lowest prices of any nation in the developed world. Americans are already getting the benefits from these. These companies are already lowering these prices dramatically, as you noticed. And then this week, Howard at Department of Commerce and Jameson at the U.S. Trade Representative made a bargain with Great Britain to raise their drug prices in conformance with your promise that the Europeans would raise theirs to counterbalance us lowering ours, and therefore we would keep intact the ecosystem of innovation and protect innovation. So congratulations on that, Mr. President. When you first asked me to take this job, one of the first contacts we made was with a leading health economics professor at Harvard. And we asked him what's the one innovation that we could do that would most dramatically improve the health care experience for the average American. And he said there's no contest, it's to get rid of prior authorization. Thanks to your leadership, we were able to convene the largest insurance companies in this country and do something that every administration, every Congress has promised for the past 30 years. We actually got it done. We convened the insurance companies representing 280 million Americans and got them to agree, most of them by January of 2026, for 2 months from now, to remove prior authorization for most of their procedures, for all the procedures we want them removed from. And that means that American patients at the point of care will be able to get an answer immediately. If your doctor says you need knee surgery, you will know before you leave that doctor's office whether your insurance company will pay for it or not. Similarly, healthcare records, the tech industry has refused to share healthcare records. You asked us to change that. We convened the 60 biggest tech companies at a conference that you presided over about 2 months ago. We now did a secondary conference which 400 leading companies all come in and agreed to remove any kind of blockages where individual Americans can get their own health care. Americans own their health care records, yet they were not able to access them. And if you lived in New Jersey and you moved to Oregon and you got injured, you went to a hospital, you would have to spend maybe 45 minutes filling out forms on a clipboard because your doctors there could not get your health care records. They couldn't get your blood type, your allergies, all the things that they ought to know immediately so they can save your life. Now that has all changed, and all these companies now have agreed to remove all the blocks on sharing healthcare records. Every American will have their healthcare records available on their cell phones, and it's already happening. In the last 6 months, there have been over 100 times the number of healthcare records shared by hospitals than during the entire previous administration. On deregulation, HHS proudly is now leading the pack, and thank you for your help on that, Russ. But today we announced the revocation of the nursing home rule, which was overburdening rural areas across this country, Indian reservations, with regulations that were going to destroy the nursing home industry in those communities. And that is going to be a $25 billion savings. Those are some of the things that we're doing because of your leadership. President Trump, thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, Bobby, very much. Great job.
Well, Mr. President, you've assembled an incredibly talented group here. If you took a look at this group compared to any Fortune 500 leadership team, any group of startup folks, I mean, this is an amazing group and the breadth of what's being accomplished. And the timing couldn't be better because with your leadership and vision, you've set us up for this age of abundance as we head into next year, the 250th anniversary of this country. And what are we heading into that year? As we've talked around the table, you've heard about massively lower taxes, massively lower regulation, abundant energy, record capital investment coming in, job growth. I mean, we are set up to really have something to celebrate next year. And I just again want to say thank you to everybody around the table. You gave us one big assignment in Interior. Of course, Interior, the largest balance sheet in the world. In the Department of Interior, if it was a standalone company, 500 million acres of surface, 700 million acres of subsurface, over 3 billion of offshore from Guam to the Virgin Islands. And you said, we got to take care of that balance sheet. We got to develop those resources. And what have we done across that? Producing record amounts of oil, record amounts of gas. And again, we set out with a goal, energy diplomacy, sell energy to our friends and allies. We're exporting a record amount of energy to all of our friends and allies around the world. That's helping do that. And you're giving a gift to America as we head into this. You're giving us peace abroad, and you're giving us prosperity at home. That bodes so well for our country. One small little gift that we're giving to all Americans from one teeny part of Interior, which is the national parks, is that not only are we keeping prices low for all American citizens, offering 10 free days for our national parks next year to coincide with our holidays, but also
all right, so you are taking a listen in live there in Washington, D.C. as President Trump conducts his cabinet meeting. If that's still going on, we'll get back to it, but we want to come back here at home and talk about something that leaders in Chesterfield County are set to discuss soon. They're set to discuss a wide juvenile curfew ordinance. They're meeting tomorrow, December 3rd. They'll be talking about it, but again, this is a new juvenile curfew ordinance to what they're saying to enhance safety and well-being of our community's youth. Now, Jesse Pierre is live there in Chesterfield County. Jesse, you're out there in the cold, in the rain. Talk about what this curfew is. And again, I mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, leaders are expected to talk about this tomorrow, right?
So this is a county-wide effort in Chesterfield County. It would be a juvenile curfew, and I'm here in Pageland, which would also be included in that county-wide effort. And so the curfew would be for anyone under 18 years old, and they would pretty much have to be home by 11 o'clock at night. This would be a 7 days a week initiative, and it would be from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. the next morning. The curfew would be in place for anyone under 18. Now, there are some exceptions for those who are traveling to and from work, for those who have some level of sports activity. It has to be like an activity or something that's in the exceptions rules. Now, if you don't follow that, there are also violations or penalties that you can face. One, it would be considered a misdemeanor. There are fines up to $500 as well as up to 30 days in jail. Now, I've been walking around speaking to folks in Pageland about this, and most people I speak to say they're for it. They say that, there's no reason anyone under 18 should be out and about after 11 o'clock at night anyways. They also feel that they've seen a change or an increase of crimes involving young people. And they think that this could help, kind of bring them back home and out of trouble in general. We're here in Pageland, and I don't know if you remember, this is also where there was that deadly shooting at the Watermelon Festival, which was also very impactful. Young folks being involved in violence, a young person dying. And so, these are some of the things that folks want to avoid happening again by having hopefully kids out of trouble, right? Keeping them hopefully on the right track. Now, another thing I did hear from people who live here is they say they want to see more resources for young people. If there's, maybe a bowling alley, different activities that folks can get into, then maybe they wouldn't get in trouble. And so there is a public hearing tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in Chesterfield. They do want to hear from folks about this and hear their opinion, their thoughts, and, if it passes, then, folks under 18 would be under curfew.
All right, yeah. Thank you, Jesse, for that. Again, a lot to unpack there. And you can catch Jesse's story at 4 and 5 o'clock this evening. Again, Jesse, thank you. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So we want to get to a story that we've been following very closely since the very beginning of what this new law, before it was a law, it was a bill. We're talking about Irina's Law. It's named after 23-year-old Irina Zaruska. She was fatally stabbed on Charlotte's light rail back in August by a man with a lengthy criminal history. And so there have been a lot of opinions. There have been a lot of voices when it comes to Irina's Law. It is now in effect. It's been in effect since yesterday. And I want to bring in Julie Kay because you're following up on the story, day 2 of Irina's Law in effect. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you're going to explain what's in this law. I didn't want to take that away from you, but you got a chance to speak with the new iteration of City Council.
Yeah.
They were sworn in yesterday. I'm curious. I didn't get a chance to see the story, and I was going to watch it, but I knew we were going to have you on the show.
Didn't want to spoil it.
I didn't want to spoil it at all. What were their reactions to arena law? Because this is a very Mecklenburg, Charlotte-centric law.
Yeah, and that's going to be probably their first task, this new council just getting sworn in the same day this very targeted law goes into effect. Of course, it impacts the whole state, but it's really Mecklenburg County that's at the focus of this. And we'll get into the details of it in a second. But yeah, they all had a very similar message, both returning council members and new council members of, we need funding to be able to do this. That's the exact same thing that Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden has said is, this may have had good intentions behind it, but we cannot do this without financial support from the legislature. At the same time, of course, the state still does not have a state budget, but even if it did, the law here, Irina's law, does not provide for any type of funding other than for some assistance in terms of like legal assistance. Like it provides funding for a couple more assistants and people in the DA's office. So it adds a little bit more to that, but at the same time, there's all this kind of compounding effects of, so it sets stricter guidelines for pretrial release. It potentially brings back the death penalty in the state. We're going to see how that plays out. Basically, at the end of the day, though, the crux of this is it's holding people for longer in the jail that is already in Mecklenburg County at capacity. Mecklenburg County takes on some of the other cases from other jurisdictions in the area as well. So it's not just Mecklenburg County. They are dealing with kind of a compounding flow of people from other areas that will also be impacted by this, and they are going to see, double the impacts because they have that kind of agreement with other counties in the area. So Sheriff Gary McFadden was the first one to say it. We need more funding. We need more resources. I need more personnel to do this. And we right now can't handle what this is going to bring. That's the same thing that we heard from Councilman Malcolm Graham specifically. I think the direct quote was, please, Raleigh, send us some money, something like that. That's how my story will start tonight, because I think that was the most succinct way to put it. And then I also heard from Kimberly Owens, one of the new council members, who also sent a very similar message of, we're going to try, but we need funding, and the budget for the year, both on the county and city side. I'm talking city right now, but the county is going to be an also big part of this. That's one of their first tasks of the new year, is the retreat in January, where they talk about priorities and how they're going to fund it. Both county and city are looking at kind of a tight budget already, and so they're going to have to come up with even more room to find law enforcement funding. It's a new chapter, I should say, in sort of the saga between lawmakers in Raleigh and then what happens here in Charlotte. We've talked about this here on the show. You're set to speak, speaking of Raleigh, you're set to speak with State Representative Jordan Lopez, who represents Mecklenburg County. I know you haven't spoken with him yet, but you have in the past. I guess, can you kind of give us sort of a gauge on how he's feeling about this law? I expect him to back up council members. He was actually there last night as all three new council members were being sworn in, specifically to support, I believe, District 5's new council member, who comes from the same part of East Charlotte that he represents. So he is very involved in local politics as well, local government, as kind of, I think the council was kind of encouraging, was we need more of a relationship with Raleigh to express these needs directly to them. So I anticipate he is going to say very similar things about needing funding to complete this. I'm curious to hear what he has to say about the bill itself in terms of what's in it, what he would like to see instead, or if he supports some of the measures, assuming that there's funding to complete them, to comply with them. I also anticipate, as I've heard him say multiple times before, this whole state budget fiasco needs to end. There's really no end in sight for it. We're way past the deadline. That's not uncommon, as you know, in North Carolina, to miss the deadline for the state budget. Of course, we're just operating under the budget for the last 2 years, but that means that we can't add funding for things like this. We also can't give teachers raises. We can't do all sorts of things that requires a new state budget until, and I believe law enforcement is included in those raises as well. Exactly. And so if we want to retain law enforcement as Sheriff McFadden has mentioned, that probably includes higher salaries and things like that, especially with Charlotte being right on the border with South Carolina.
Yeah.
There's competition involved. Same story we've seen with teachers. So I expect that Representative Lopez will focus on the budget as the story here itself, and Irina's law as kind of an arm of this that is just kind of emphasizing the problem we've already got. Whether or not you support Irina's law or not, what's in the law, I think a lot of people would say it has very good intentions, but everyone involved in this in terms of funding has to say there's just not enough.
Have we heard from GOP leaders at all, or anybody from the GOP side? Not to put you on the spot, but have we heard from them? Have we? I know they held press conferences regarding Irina's law.
So interesting. I haven't heard directly back on this. Hey, we need more funding as of last night from council members, but. Kind of the messaging from the GOP that I've heard from Speaker Destin Hall, from Senate Pro Tem Phil Berger, is we actually need to look into how Mecklenburg County is using their funding as is.
Yeah.
We need to do kind of their whole message kind of coming from the Trump administration has been cutting out excess spending, fraud, waste, abuse, things like that.
You've covered the DOJ-like committee here in North Carolina, which is not a thing federally anymore, DOJ. But you've covered that. Yeah,
so they've tried to mimic kind of the same concept at the federal level here in the state, which is kind of a tricky line to walk because any kind of funding that they're looking at the state level, we've been had a red-led government for years, so they're kind of going back.
We had a supermajority for a few years.
For a few years, So any funding that would be recent at the state level, they'd be kind of walking back their own side. So I see them kind of looking more at counties like Mecklenburg County of, you should have the funding for this. Where else are you spending it? So actually more looking at ways that they should cut back as opposed to more funding. And so I don't see that being the story that we get out of this new budget cycle is, yes, there's going to be more funding for Mecklenburg County. And so to be honest, I'm not really sure where things go from here. I know that also the tension between the state legislature and Sheriff Gary McFadden with some of this House Bill 318. That's the bill that, requires more county governments to work directly with ICE. There's been some tension over that. Again, Sheriff McFadden has had the same story of, this requires us to hold people for longer and we're already at capacity. And so there's kind of a history of disconnect between Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office and General Assembly, and so I don't foresee that changing anytime soon.
Well, when can folks, again, a lot of stuff can change, between now and when your story airs. Well, when can folks catch your story tonight? 5 and 6. 5 and 6, you can catch Julie. Julie, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
As usual, we'll have you back in here soon, I know, because something's going to happen. We're going to need your input. All right. Do we want to head to break, James, or do we want to?
We have some fresh sound from the White House.
Okay. And all right. So we are hearing from the Trump administration. Again, the Trump administration cabinet meeting is taking place. We actually heard from Secretary of Defense. Is this Pete Hegseth?
So what we're about to hear, this happened while you were talking to Julie. So while you were talking to Julie, I was recording this over here. The cabinet meeting continuing at the White House. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez asked the president and Secretary Pete Hegseth to respond to the controversies over the U.S. boat strikes.
All right, take a listen into what he had to say.
Regarding the boat strikes near Venezuela, you had said that you didn't know if the second strike on that one boat had happened, but you wouldn't have wanted it. Now that your administration has acknowledged that it happened, do you support that second strike? And Mr. Secretary, I want to clarify something you had said in an interview back in September, I believe on Fox News. You said that you had watched that strike live on television. In real time, did you know that there were survivors after the initial strike?
Well, look, all I know is this. Every boat that you see get blown up, we save 25,000 on average lives, 25,000 lives. They've been sending enough of this horrible fentanyl and other things like cocaine and other things, but fentanyl right now is the leader of the pack, to kill our entire nation. Because a little speck on the head of a pin can kill somebody. It's very dangerous stuff. I know so many people where their sons were drug addicts. They had one little sample, and they died. They died. They couldn't believe it. As far as the attack is concerned, I still haven't gotten a lot of information because I rely on Pete. But to me, it was an attack. It wasn't 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. Somebody asked me a question about the second strike. I didn't know about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took out a boat. But I would say this, they had a strike. I hear the gentleman that was in charge of that is extraordinary. He's an extraordinary person. I'll let Pete speak about him. But Pete was satisfied. Pete didn't know about second attack having to do with 2 people. I guess Pete would have to speak to it. I can say this, I want those boats taken out, and if we have to, we'll attack on land also, just like we attack on sea. And there's very little coming in by sea. I think we've knocked out over 90% of it. There's very little, and I understand that. There's very little. We're saving hundreds of thousands of lives with those pinpoint attacks. It's an amazing thing when you see a boat going along, and a lot of the press would like to say they're not, you see the boat, they're not maybe drugs. You see these boats. First of all, who has 5 engines on the back of a boat going in weird directions and loaded up with lots of white containers? They're bags of things. No, they've done an amazing job, and Peter's done an amazing job. Pete, you could probably better answer the question.
No, you're spot on, sir. I think you got to start with the baseline, which Marco laid out, everybody's laid out. We've got 20 million people invading our country over 4 years. We don't know where they're coming from. That includes Tren de Aragua and cartels and violent criminals. They bring drugs, and you mentioned it, Mr. President, poisoning, an intentional poisoning of the American people, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. So the president had the courage to designate these cartels as designated terrorist organizations. Now, a number of us here served in the military and spent 20 years fighting terrorists like Al-Qaeda and ISIS on the other side of the world. How do you treat Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Do you arrest them and treat them, pat them on the head and say, don't do that again? Or do you end the problem directly by taking a lethal, kinetic approach? And that's the way President Trump has authorized the War Department to look at these cartels. And I wish everybody could be in the room watching our professionals like Mitch Bradley, Admiral Mitch Bradley, and others at JSOC and SOCOM and other commanders. The deliberative process, the detail, the rigorous, the intel, the legal, the evidence-based way that we're able to, with sources and methods that we can't reveal here, that make sure that every one of those drug boats is tied to a designated terrorist organization. We know who's on it, what they're doing, what they're carrying. All these white bales are not Christmas gifts from Santa. This is drugs running on 4-motor fast boats or submarines that we've also struck. No one's fishing on a submarine. And I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as you would, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that. A lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back, and the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes. about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people.
And Mr. Secretary, on the second strike, you said it happened more than an hour after the first. Did I hear it correctly?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of time.
You went off the road, is what you're saying.
I already stated my answer quite clearly.
So remember this, we lost last year, I think it was more than that, but people don't like saying it because they always said 100,000, 115,000, numbers we've been hearing for years. So we lost last year more than 200,000 people, dead people, ruined families beyond the 200,000. And those 200,000, that family will never be the same. But these people have killed over 200,000 people, actually killed over 200,000 people last year. And those numbers are down. Those numbers are down. They're way down. And they're down because we're doing these strikes, and we're going to start doing those strikes on land, too. The land is much easier. It's much easier. And we know the routes they take. We know everything about them. We know where they live. We know where the bad ones live. And we're going to start that very soon, too.
Mr. President, thank you so much, Mr. President.
You know what? When we start that, we're going to drive those numbers down so low. And then you're going to have families be able to live without the fear of their son or daughter just having a pill to have a little fun and ending up dying within a period of 60 seconds, right? No, we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to let it continue to happen. What Biden did to this country by allowing all these people, and I call them animals in many cases, I think they're animals, to come into our country and destroy our country and let all those drugs pour in. Let people just walk across the border like it was nothing. You look at them, a lot of them, and you say, oh, let's not discriminate. I'm not talking about color. I'm just talking about you look into the eyes of some of these people. We're smart. And you see a killer. Come on in. Just come on in. 11,888 murderers. Many of them committed more than one murder. He allowed them into our country, totally unvetted, totally unchecked. But he also allowed drugs to come in at record numbers. And hundreds of thousands of people a year died. And we're taking those son of a bitches out.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for taking over questions. I think this is the most...
All right, so that was President Trump's reaction. Also, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, his response to the boat strikes out there in the Caribbean Sea. Again, that cabinet meeting is still taking place as we speak, but we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So we want to get to an interesting story right now. So tonight, it's an all-new Where's the Money investigation found that travelers who fly in and out of Charlotte help the airport buy millions of dollars worth of equipment that has largely sat unused for the last 2 years. WCNC Charlotte's Nate Morabito discovered this. Nate, we were talking about it before. Well, as we were in break before we got to you here live in studio, and I just couldn't believe it. How did you come across this story?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you wonder, like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how does the government buy millions of dollars worth of, in this case, radios, critical radios, to be used by the airport, several divisions in the airport, only to find out they're not compatible? Like, where is the oversight there? So this started for me with a tip about the situation there, and what happens from there is I then try to confirm what someone might tell me, right? And so in this case, I made public records requests, which means I requested emails that were sent between several different people at the airport to try and piece together and verify that this is in fact true and maybe why this happened. So I did that. I requested initially a couple of years worth of emails, and the airport kind of said, well, you're going to get thousands. Is there a way to narrow this down? And I said, well, just give me this year's emails for now. And in the end, I think they ended up giving me this year's and last year's at a minimum. They might have even given me some from 2023, but nonetheless, I start seeing what people are saying internally about this situation. And let me just kind of set the table here. The airport in 2023 received $3.5 million worth of radios, right? Motorola radios, like walkie-talkie is what you would call them, right? And if you go to the airport, you'll see, security using them. You'll see the baggage handlers using them. You'll see people at desks using them. Those are old, for the most part now, old radios still. So 2 years after receiving these radios, fewer than 25% are actually being used. Okay?
Yeah.
So do the math, that's 165 radios. Out of 700, 2 years later, they haven't been able to get people to use. So after I confirmed that there's something going on here for sure, I reach out to the airport, question them, request an interview, and a spokesperson said, there's no story here. There's nothing significant going on with this situation. And that's always like an alarm bell to me. What do you mean there's not a story here? I've got the receipts, so to speak, that show something is amiss, and this is a huge investment, and we're pursuing this. And ultimately, it's the news station's decision, or a newspaper, or a radio station's decision, what is and what isn't news. So we keep kind of pushing back, and in the meantime, I reach out to a city council member, Dimple Ashmira, who is the chair of the budget committee. And this is why this particular council member matters, because city council approved a contract for citywide technology upgrades back in 2019. She's the chairperson of the budget committee, which monitors the budget year after year. And I'll kind of follow up in a minute about why that also matters. But we questioned her about this. This was news to her. She learned about it from us, and she told us this is in fact concerning, and there is now some additional oversight. Can we listen to what she said?
Well, the delays are concerning, Nate, because Charlotteans deserve full transparency and accountability, and we are asking all the right questions. We want to know what led to these delays. The good thing is that public safety wasn't compromised. That was my #1 concern. I did have conversations with our airport staff. They assured me that there was no public safety that was compromised. So that's a good thing. But I do know that there is a plan to roll out these radios by 2026. And the delays, I was told, was because of technical difficulties.
I guess one would ask, how didn't she know about this on the front end? And why did she find this out from you, and why didn't she know this from the beginning?
Right, and we actually had this conversation, the council member and I, because when you look at what the council is tasked with, they kind of look at it from a macro view, right? They are, in many ways, the visioning body for the city. They set the vision, they set the priorities, the day-to-day operations. At a certain threshold, they're often not made aware of. In fact, the last story I did related to money about something totally different, but that went through the city, that council member wasn't aware of what we found. So it's not really uncommon for leaders not to be briefed on everything that happens there. And, I think what you might hear some say is that $3.5 million, it sounds like a lot, but for an operating budget, it's fairly small, right? But to you and me, $3.5 million,
it's a lot of money.
It's a ton of money.
Yeah.
And here is why I think it's especially important. Because at the same time that this project, $3.5 million project, suffered some serious delays, the airport and the city started charging travelers more money to use the airport. So they bought $3.5 million worth of radios that they haven't been able to use. And at the same time, they started charging you and me more for parking, for baggage fees and airline fees, for using ground transportation. Because at the end of the day, this is not a taxpayer-funded operation, the airport. It's self-sustaining. It's funded by the people who use it. And so anybody that flies in and out of this airport is helping this stay in operation. And I think that oftentimes when there are issues like this, the only way they bubble to the surface, and a council member might find out, is if somebody alerts a member of the media who has the time and resources and skill set to ask the right questions, to request the right records, and then to hold people accountable. And I think that that's where we're at in this situation.
Well, I guess what's next? I mean, do they? I heard her say, and correct me if I'm wrong, they plan to use these radios by, what, did she say 2026? Which is, I mean,
next
around
month.
the corner, next month.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Essentially, is it that simple? I mean.
Well, it hasn't been simple.
Yeah.
Number one, the airport has blamed some early decisions on a former employee that they fired earlier this year, leading to some of the delays. And in some of the records, the company that sold them the radios, they say, assured them these radios would be compatible, and then it turned out to be unexpected that they were incompatible. So now they're in the process of trying to get them all deployed, which has required a whole phone system upgrade over there. And so they've got, quite a few hundred left, hundreds actually, probably 500, 500 and some odd. To still get out there, and they're hoping to do that over the next several months. But by then, they will have waited a long time. And one interesting email was to me, caught my attention, because they were saying some of their radios are so far past their usable lifetime that the batteries are draining quickly, or they're having to bring a charger. And I mean, you think about the 6th busiest airport in the world. Right? One radio makes a huge difference to people communicating internally, externally, to making sure bags are being delivered on time, to make sure that the place is secure. So the idea is to get this out there, the timeline to get it out there in 2026. And what the council member told me is that since the council is now aware and keeping tabs, if the timeline is not met, they then have some options of some additional action to potentially take.
And I think about this, you talk about the radios. We were just in the government shutdown. The FAA reduced flights. It was really busy at a lot of these airports. So something could have happened where, maybe, the radio system was down. Something could have happened where they could have needed those radios.
Well, I mean, that's why they bought them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real easy answer here. You bought them 2 years ago to get them in operation, right? And you bought them at the time because you wanted them and you needed them. And it was time to get new radios. And so, the old ones are still working. That's what they're saying. And there's never been a safety gap, they tell me. But you did buy them at a certain time, so they were in use. And it's a lot of money that users help pay for that have basically, they could have delayed it if they wanted to. Ultimately, if they had known what they know now, they could have saved a few $1,000,000 and put it into a new budget year potentially.
Oh man, again, an interesting story, Nate. When can folks check out your story later today?
Yep, so actually go to WCNC.com right now. You can see the web version of the story. I'll be on at both 4 and 6 on WCNC Charlotte on the TV, and then I'll be on at 11 o'clock tonight with our full investigation.
And I'll see you at 4 o'clock, Nate. Nate, as always, thank you for your time. Again, you can check out that story right now on our digital platforms. That web article is up. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So we want to take you back now to a Massachusetts courtroom where the Brian Walsh murder trial is continuing today with more testimony expected from investigators who initially probed the missing person case that turned into an alleged murder. Again, Walsh is accused of killing his wife on New Year's Day 2023. And just to kind of update you on where we are now, so there is a trooper on the stand. That testimony on the Walsh device history appears to be wrapping soon. That's according to NBC 10 Boston. Trooper Guarino, I should say, excuse me, is expanding on the quote Patrick Kearney search found. Kearney is known as the quote trash bag killer. Let's take a listen into what's being said on the stand.
First examined the iPad Mini 6 on January 7th. What was the Apple ID?
The same, BRW at Tenso Consulting.
And what was the device name?
Again, the same, Brian's iPad.
Were you limited in the dates that the search warrant allowed you to examine?
Yes.
Judge, objection on the sidewalk?
Sure.
It looks like they are having a sidebar there, but you can again, you can see right there on our side panel, Brian Walsh murder trial underway. Brian Walsh is accused of killing and dismembering his wife on New Year's Day back in 2023. And again, there's a trooper on the stand continuing his testimony as they hold this sidebar. I just want to point out, it's been a busy year in the Boston area. Karen Reed trial happening earlier this year, accused of killing her police officer boyfriend. And so, again, a lot happening there for our news friends there in the Boston area, also covering this Brian Walsh murder trial. As they go to the sidebar, I don't know, I'm not sure if they are wrapping up right now.
Well, I can help here for a moment
yeah.
while we wait, Nick. You know, the trooper who is on the stand right now, and we might hear more of this in a moment, has been talking about some of the evidence that they obtained during their investigation, which included, as he put it, some of Brian Walsh's search history, searching for things like how to dispose of a body or how quickly does a body decompose. And so those are some pretty interesting search history things that are coming to light here while this trial now is in its second day. We can go to another feed that's coming in while we wait for this court to resume. And Nick, I'll just let our viewers know that this is in Minneapolis, and this has to do with immigrants living in the community there, and officials are coming out to speak. And why don't we take a listen to this?
Yeah.
To the Twin Cities with a specific focus on targeting our Somali community. To our Somali community, we love you and we stand with you. That commitment is rock solid. Minneapolis is proud to be home to the largest Somali community in the entire country. They've been here for decades in many instances. They're entrepreneurs and fathers. They benefit both the culture and the economic resilience of our city. Targeting Somali people means that due process will be violated, mistakes will be made. And let's be clear, it means that American citizens will be detained for no other reason than the fact that they look like they are Somali. That is not now and will never be a legitimate reason. For decades, the Somali community has added greatly to our city. The economic fabric, their hard work, their leadership, it has made Minneapolis a better place. We are not given advance notice or inside information about these kinds of operations. But here's what we can promise. We will not compromise our values here in Minneapolis. Our values and our commitment to the Somali community, to every community of immigrants and people in our city, is rock solid and will be unwavering. Our police many of whom are Somali themselves, are trusted partners in keeping people safe. They will not collaborate with any federal agency around doing immigration enforcement work. Our city staff and our law enforcement will not ask the question as to whether an individual is documented.
All right, so we want to move away from Minneapolis and we want to head over to Washington, D.C., where United States Attorney Jeanine Pirro is speaking on the D.C. National Guard shooting. Well, she just left the podium there, but she did speak on those charges involving those National Guard members that were shot there in D.C. just last week. Again, Jeanine Pirro, United States Attorney for D.C., speaking just moments ago. So it looks like we just missed her, but we want to take you back to Minneapolis, where that is the mayor there in Minneapolis speaking out regarding immigration crackdown on the Somali community. Let's take a listen to that.
A member or a loved one needs access to a lawyer, go to our website or call 311. And we're going to work with our partners. Partners like the city of St. Paul, partners like the state of Minnesota, to do everything to support our neighbors and to coordinate on any incident that happens. Obviously, this is a frightening moment for our Somali community. There have been many frightening moments over the last several months to our immigrant communities in Minneapolis. In Minneapolis, our diversity is diverse. People come from 1,000 different backgrounds, mentalities, and perspectives with one beautiful thing in common. They love our city and they're proud to call it home. And we're going to stand with them every step of the way. But we need to also be demanding better from an administration who is intent on targeting people and committing so much time, energy, and money to terrorizing certain groups within our community. That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan Ku Janilahai, Waan Ku Gereb Taganahan. We love you, we stand with you, and we aren't backing down. With that, I will turn it over to the Mayor of St. Paul, Mayor Melvin Carter.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Melvin Carter, the Mayor of the City of St. Paul. As Mayor Fry just said, we are hearing credible information around a convergence of federal law enforcement officials, federal agents coming into our community with the intentionality around targeting our Somali community. Just earlier today, we saw, sadly, the President of the United States open his mouth to take a whole group of people, a whole country of people, and denigrate just based on where they come from. And somehow we found ourselves to a place where that doesn't surprise any of us. But when the mayor said the word un-American, it rang true to me. I grew up celebrating in America and learning about an America who prided ourselves on being a beacon that drew people from other places. I grew up in an America that prided itself on being a country of immigrants, that prided itself on the fact that people from other countries would look across a whole ocean and say, that's where I want to be. It seems that what we learned was that we've prided ourselves, and we have decades and generations of priding ourselves on being a beacon for immigration from Europe. And it seems to many of us like the darker skinned the immigrants who come to our country are, the more our posture on immigration as a country has shifted. That's un-American. That's concerning. And I get particularly concerned as someone who, we work all day, every day on public safety and keeping our communities safe. And all of you have heard me brag about the public safety outcomes that we're achieving and that we're really proud of. And we've understood and embraced an approach to public safety that isn't about pitting our officers or law enforcement against community members, but figuring out how to get our officers and our community members working together on the same side of the table as much as humanly possible. And so when the last thing that we need is federal agents coming here, pretending that we should be afraid of somebody just based on the color of their skin, just based on what they look like, just based on what country their ancestors claim as honor as a motherland. The last thing that we need is federal agents coming to town attempting to turn us against each other, to turn us against ourselves. The last thing we need is federal agents coming in town to create chaos and challenge for us. And so we stand together. Both of our cities have stood up immigrant and refugee services supports. In St. Paul, it's our Office of Immigrant and Refugee Services in our city attorney's office. We encourage folks to look to those websites. We encourage folks to look to the organizations that serve immigrants and refugees across our community, because we have constant reminders out there.
You're watching live there. It's Minneapolis officials there. You heard from the mayor. You hear from other leaders speak out in support of the Somali community. They say that they have been targeted by federal officials, by ICE specifically. So that is happening, continuing happening live. But for now, we are going to take a break. We're going to be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. We showed a shot earlier of, it was at the top of the show, of wet, soggy, cold conditions.
You're like putting me on the spot here.
No, I'm not. I promise. I'm not putting James on the spot to get a shot. I'm just describing what we saw. It's still chilly outside.
That one?
See, I know if I said it, James would bring it up. I wasn't putting it on the spot. This is a better look outside compared to it was like 12:30.
I just can't believe during the break you asked me for a cheesburger and a milkshake. What do you think I'm doing?
You know, man,
Very needy.
I'm very needy, as Brittany says. I'm very needy, and I would like to see some sunshine. I don't think that's necessarily like a hard ask. Maybe that's being more needy.
It's not being needy. It's you're just not going to get it.
Well,
it's wishful thinking.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what they say? You always want what you can't have, Nick.
No.
We will see probably a little bit of rain, or a little bit of sun tomorrow, but it's not going to be a lot. But today actually was a great day for many reasons. I know it's a bummer when it's chilly and cold, but we saw the most amount of rain that we've seen in over a month. So October 27th, we saw an inch and about a quarter. And today we've seen about a half of an inch. So 0.61 so far at Charlotte Douglas. Again, the last time we saw rain of this magnitude was 1.16 just a few days before Halloween. So we know what I'm going to say. This is important because we're still under drought conditions. So here's rainfall totals since midnight. You can see the best was certainly across the Piedmont. You can see 0.61 in Charlotte, 0.66 there over toward Gastonia. Rock Hill coming in at just under an inch. We have some half inch, so about 3/4 of an inch there toward Rockingham. East side of Charlotte over toward Fayetteville, Raleigh-Durham area, so kind of moving away from the Piedmont into the Sandhills. Did see a bit more, but again, at this point, we'll take really anything that we can get here in the Charlotte area, as we, of course, are continuing to track not only drier than normal conditions, but also drought conditions as well. So here's some live pictures you can see from Monroe, Lake Norman, Dallas, and Charlotte. Much different picture, of course, than we had earlier, since the rain is no longer actively falling. However, you can still see a decent amount of cloud cover, low-hanging fog. What's interesting is that from this shot, you can see the low-hanging clouds there from Charlotte versus Dallas, where you can actually see the view from 1,500 feet above. So that, of course, are those low-hanging clouds.
That's where Nick could get his sun.
Fog.
You can get your sun if you go to the top of the tower.
Yeah, but you would have to essentially go into the top of the tower and then into a plane, and then you could see it. But yeah.
Oh, we can make that happen.
All right, go for it.
I'm not. You know, look,
The sun's always hiding somewhere, Nick.
It is.
I promise we'll see a little bit of sun tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay, so rain is over so far today, but next big rain chance, we don't have to wait too long for it. It's coming in by Friday. So here's satellite and radar. You can show that we're nice and dry now, locally closer to home. Again, no more rain expected. Still going to be foggy for the next few hours. We'll still see some of those low-hanging clouds, but the chill, that's not going anywhere. Highs so far today have only reached 45 degrees, and that's pretty much the same across most of the Piedmont and up toward the mountain communities. So what's happening right now is that sky conditions are starting to clear. Again, we will see some sunshine for my friend Nick Sturdivant by tomorrow, but it is going to turn cold now that this first system is moving away. Temperatures tonight are going to be around the freezing mark, if not colder. And then again, another round of rain possible on Friday. This one just as intense as what we just saw. In fact, it could be even a bit colder, which could allow for another round of wintry mix, especially for the mountain and foothills. So if you didn't see a lot today, Friday will be your next chance to see it. If you're trying to get out and about tonight, though, to kind of enjoy your evening, yes, it's going to be cold, but it could be a nice night for Christmastown, USA. This is a hour-by-hour forecast there for McAdamville. So we're looking at lower 40s just after sunset. Of course, today only reaching the 40s so far today. And then overnight, ooh, cold. Now, we've had worse, right? Last week we got into a hard freeze, but around 30 degrees, no chance of rain, mountain communities in the 20s. So mostly cloudy tomorrow afternoon, but no rain expected. You can see that big spike with our next chance for rain on Friday, and then we'll slowly taper things back off Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is going to be a bit of a question mark, one that we'll be watching a lot over the next few days. And here's why. We're seeing a lot of model flip-flop on whether or not we're going to see our best chance of rain in the morning or best chance of rain in the afternoon. So if you work for WCNC Charlotte and you're part of the Magical Toy Drive, you, of course, do not want it to rain in the morning.
No.
But if you're going to the ACC championship game in Uptown, you probably don't want it to rain in the afternoon. At this point, models are pretty split on whether or not we're going to get 2 rounds of rain, right? Some light rain in the morning and a better chance in the afternoon, or if it's going to move in quickly Friday and never move back in. But what I can guarantee you is that, yes, we'll see rain at some point Saturday, just not exactly certain on the timing at this point, but we will see rain on Friday. And this is going to be Friday, a big source of contention, big talker on social media over the next few days. Please, as always, folks, remember, try to get your information from a reliable source. That reliable source is not the app that comes on your phone. Please just remember how much it flip-flops constantly, and just think about that when you're thinking about who to trust. So, Futurecast Friday morning, you can see, yes, a mix likely north of the I-40 corridor. Not seeing a lot of model support for that colder air to mix closer to our area here in Charlotte, which means a very, very low, if any, chance that we'll see a wintry mix. But sometimes when the temperatures are in the 30s, we can get some sleet mixing in with the cold rain. So at this point, I think that would be more likely than seeing any kind of significant chance for wintry mix. Saturday, here's the afternoon right now. Afternoon's trending wetter right now versus the morning, but again, that remains to be seen. So I'm keeping things conservative right now for Saturday. Still going to be chilly no matter what, whether we see rain in the morning or in the afternoon. Temperatures are going to be below average over the next week. That's not changing. Yes, we'll be a little bit better by Thursday and then a little bit better again on Sunday, but I would just expect that you're probably going to need a jacket at some point over the next 7 days. Finally, it looks like we'll get a little bit closer to where we should be by the end of the 10-day forecast and maybe a bit of a drier stretch, but I refuse to complain about these cloudy, chilly, raw days because we need the rain. It's going to help with the drought. I did do a mobile short on this that is over on our WCNC Charlotte mobile app and our website, but with the 0.61, does this help us get out of the drought? Yes, it helps.
Okay.
Is it going to be enough? No. We need about 5 to 7 inches of rain to get out of the drought and back to where we should be. So anything is beneficial, but one rainy day does not take care of it completely.
And we don't need those 5 to 6 inches in one day either.
Definitely not, yeah. But I know we talk about this all the time on the stream, and we've, of course, talked about it on the 4 o'clock as well. Droughts are not built in a day, so they are never going to be taken care of in a day.
Right.
Even if we had 5 to 6 inches, it's not going to percolate all through the ground. It's going to eventually run off and cause flooding. So you need days like this
to stack
kind
up.
of little by little. So Friday will be a help. Maybe in a few weeks we'll have another week where we get 2 in 1 week. And this is pretty, I don't want to say normal, but pretty normal December weather in the Southeast.
Yeah.
I remember plenty of late December days, Christmas, New Year's, where it's cold air damming, wedge,
And it could be
cloudy,
colder.
drizzly. Definitely could.
Could be colder.
Always looking at the bright side, aren't we, Nick?
Look, it's speaking of bright side.
Don't say that I'm a producer who doesn't deliver. You asked for sun.
Did you move the Dallas Tower Camp
That
out?
is the Dallas camera. We are above the clouds. You can see the cloud deck there at the bottom.
It's a lovely day above the clouds.
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
Who needs an airplane when you can just
Have
check
the
out
Dallas Tower Cam?
Have the Dallas Tower Cam. This is what I'm going to be watching for the rest of the show.
It's nice.
It's a whole different day up there.
I saw the sun. It's a great day. I just want to point out, Brittany, I did not run in the rain this morning. I wasn't foolish enough to do that.
Oh, I'm proud of you.
I ran on the treadmill.
Over the weekend when it was cold, did you wear your beanie?
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, because it was too cold. I did see some folks in short sleeve shorts and gloves. I guess their hands were cold, but not their arms and legs.
I guess your extremities do get colder faster, but
yeah, I mean,
I don't know if I would personally do that, but
I'm like, man, you're more of a dedicated runner than I am if you're doing the short sleeve shorts, gloves.
You know me, always working out inside.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the treadmill. Still a workout. Move your body. As long as you move your body, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. All right, Brittany, thank you for your time. Thank you for. I'll see you later. I'll see you a little later.
I'll see you later.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
I was about to say, I got choked up. But
choked up because I'm leaving.
I got choked up because she's leaving.
It's okay.
Excuse me. But no, I will see Brittany later. I was about to say goodbye. Like I wasn't going to see her later, but I will see Brittany later. Brittany, thank you before I get choked up again. James, do we want to go to break?
I was just going to stare at this
we'll stare at this then. This is
we'll
Dallas
go to
Tower
break.
Cam. As we stare at this, we're going to head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sertivant. We're heading back to Dedham, Massachusetts, where the Brian Walsh murder trial is underway. More testimony is happening as I speak. And again, we're hearing from investigators who initially probed the missing person case that turned into an alleged murder. Again, Walsh is accused of killing his wife on New Year's Day 2023. Right now on the testifying, I should say, on the stand is a trooper. Let's take a listen into what's being said.
The two show the same items. One just shows the start time, 7:57 a.m. The device lock status, the phone was unlocked.
And how long was it unlocked?
Approximately 2 minutes.
And what time does the device become locked?
7:59:45 a.m.
And after the device becomes locked, what happens next to it?
8:09:12 a.m. on January 1st, it is plugged in.
And then what happened?
It recorded two charging things 2 seconds apart, and then after at 11:23 a.m., the device is unlocked again.
Okay, and then what happens?
It is then locked at 11:24:15.
And then what happens?
The device is 12:38:40. It's unlocked again on the first.
And then what happens?
And then it's locked again at 12:39:20 on the first.
And then does the phone get unlocked?
Yes, 12:45:20.
And then what happens?
And locked again at 12:46:49.
And then what happens?
It is unplugged on the first at 1:42:02 p.m. And then unlocked on January 2nd at 2:25 p.m.
How can an iPhone be unlocked?
There's two ways, Face ID or by inputting the passcode.
Trooper, in addition to your digital forensics work on this case, did you transport evidence from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner to the crime lab?
Yes, I did.
And generally, what did you pick up?
I believe there were 7 bags of rug, some metal, tissue, and I believe hair.
And how large were those bags?
The bags of rug were like not as big as a lawn leaf bag, but a large.
We want to step away from the trial. We want to get you here right now in Washington, D.C. That's United States Attorney for D.C., Janine Pirro, announcing charges, I believe, for the suspect in the D.C. shooting involving 2 National Guard members. So let's take a listen in.
The case now moves to January the 14th when there will be a preliminary hearing. However, during the course of that time, from now to January 14th, our federal partners continue to work with the MPD, the FBI, the National Guard, everyone to continue to investigate as well as collect evidence so that we can add additional potential charges, potentially federal charges that we can bring against this defendant. And let me just say that although we have lost Sarah, we continue to pray for Andrew Wolf. He is still in the hospital, and please keep them in your thoughts and in your prayers. And finally, let me just say, this individual was brought into this country as a result of the largesse of the American people and the American government. And he betrayed us by shooting and killing one individual, and right now harming another individual that we hope will survive. Other than that, that's all I can say. Well, I think it's laughable. I think anyone about whom we know nothing, and make no mistake, there's no vetting. And the fact that we don't have a rap sheet on this guy, as if he was born in the Bronx or in the district, should tell us that, you know, he is clean. We have no idea who he is. He has no connections to the community. The crime is one that we believe we will be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think the judge was very astute when she made it clear that she believed that he crossed the country with a weapon, with the intent to commit a crime of violence. And her decision was a correct one, based upon the facts and the law.
What did you and the judge discuss after the hearing?
Oh, we didn't discuss anything. Whenever I go into a different courtroom, I had never met this judge before. We were very clear to say, I just wanted to introduce myself and say thank you. I do that with every judge, federal judges, superior court judges. You can bring a transcriber with us. I don't do anything more than that.
Judge, the president has said he wants to reinstate the death penalty in D.C. There's some debate about the legality of that, but is that something your office is considering in this case? Have there been conversations about seeking it here?
Look, that is a very weighty decision. That is a decision that comes later in time, and that is one that ultimately the Attorney General will make. My job and the job of my office and the great federal partners, the investigative partners who work around the clock, and I wish you could see these people. They don't sleep. They work around the clock investigating this case. Our job is to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt and make sure that we have all of the evidence that is out there so that we can charge whatever crimes are appropriate in this case. Thank you. We are pursuing everything. There is nothing off the table right now. This is an individual about whom we don't know a lot, but we will. Trust me, before it's over. Thank you.
What are the extent of the injuries of the suspect? It looked like he was in pretty bad shape. Is he going to make it out of the hospital?
Yeah, he'll make it out. Thank you.
All right, so that was U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, announcing those charges for the man accused of shooting 2 National Guard members, killing 1. He made a virtual appearance in D.C. Superior Court today to face a charge of first-degree murder. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to head back now to Dedham, Massachusetts, where the Brian Walsh murder trial is continuing today. Testimony is continuing. Again, as we mentioned earlier and throughout the stream, Walsh is accused of killing his wife on New Year's Day back in 2023. He pleaded guilty to dismembering her body and misleading police, but is fighting a first-degree murder charge. Let's take a listen in.
All right, I'm there. And yep.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Sure.
So now I want to focus your attention to Record 831
Yes.
on page 226. Do you have that?
I do, sir. Thank you.
And it references something called Slade Dominant Scarlet Straps Cecilia. Right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you didn't testify about that to the jury, did you? Today, on direct examination.
No, I wasn't asked.
Morning. You would agree with me, wouldn't you, that when you look at these searches involving Pornhub, that in fact, there's a number of, and I keep referring to them as searches, but let me just ask this. There's a number of web pages that refer to what I'm going to characterize as pornography, correct?
It's about 10.
Right. And am I right to say that that cheating wife reference, what's the entire title of the cheating wife reference?
Cheating wife seduces another man to impregnate her. Scarlet Scandal, Seth Gamble, Erotica X, Pornhub.com.
Do you have any idea how that particular porn movement, whatever it is, do you know how it came about?
The only thing I say is that Pornhub was viewed and that video was selected.
Okay. You would agree with me, wouldn't you, that there is no specific search term for cheating wife, is there?
Well, it wasn't in a Google search. It was through Pornhub, so it doesn't record that.
Okay.
All right, we want to step away from the trial. We want to take you to this. President Trump just getting to the podium there inside the White House, set to make an announcement. Let's take a listen in.
Well, thank you very much, and we're thrilled to be joined by one of the most successful business leaders and people anywhere in the country, whether it's technology, no matter what business you're talking about, there's really nobody quite like him. He's chairman and CEO of Dell Technologies. Make great everything, great computers, great everything. Michael Dell, very much of a legend, who's here with his really exciting announcement. It's so amazing, and much more importantly, he's here with his wonderful wife, Susan, and they have a special relationship. I think I can say that, really. It's very nice. I don't see too much of it. I see the opposite, but I don't see too much. They have two special people. And I've seen that. I've known that for a long time, and I think it's a tremendous thing. Also, the CEO of Altamir Capital, Brad Gerstner. Where are you, Brad? Brad Gerstner is a terrific fellow who's very much involved in this incredible thing that we're doing today, along with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Treasury Secretary, Scott Besson, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Commerce and Science and Transportation, Ted Cruz, House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith, Vice Chairman of the House Republican Conference, Blake Moore, as well as the Chief Design Officer of the United States Airbnb co-founder, Joe Gebbia. I want to thank you all for being here. It's a great group. And I guess a potential Fed chair is here, too. I don't know. Are we allowed to say that? Potential. He's a respected person, that I can tell you. Thank you, Kevin. Today is Giving Tuesday. I don't know if anybody's heard that one before, but it is indeed Giving Tuesday, one of the biggest days of the year for philanthropy and charitable giving. And this afternoon, Michael and Susan Dell are committing to one of the largest private donations in American history, which will directly benefit the next generation of American children through the new Trump Accounts program that we created in our One Big Beautiful Bill. And Michael and Susan came to see me along with Brad, and they said, you know, this is an idea. And I said, I think, you know, it's just so good and so unique. But that's why he's been so successful, and they've been so successful in life and in business because they're unique. Trump Accounts will be the first, I guess you could say, real trust funds for every American child, allowing family members, employers, corporations, generous donors to contribute money that will be invested and grow over the course of a child's life to be used for their benefit after they turn 18. So in other words, these are children that are going to, an investment's going to be made. That investment's going to continue to grow, we hope, right? We hope. And, but it will. And they'll feel like Michael Dell someday. But at 18, they'll have a lot of money, a lot more money than they would have had, and potentially a lot of money. But these accounts will track the overall stock market and will be 100% private property controlled by the child's guardians. In honor of America's 250th anniversary, the Dells are announcing today that they are giving 25 million American children $250 each to save and to invest in their personal Trump account. Now that's the equivalent of $6.25 billion. In other words, to put it succinctly, Michael and Susan are giving $6.25 billion in total, and as a total contribution. That's big stuff. I don't care who you are. That's big. Come here, give me a hand. Let me have a little of that luck rub off. That's fantastic, Susan. These gifts will be available to the first 25 million children aged 10 and under the zip codes where their median income is $150,000 or less. So they're giving them to children that won't be born particularly rich, and they're going to be hopefully very rich someday. This will give millions of dollars, millions of children, middle-class families a stake in American prosperity, a benefit from the rising stock market, and a better shot at the American dream. It really gives them a shot at the American dream. Michael and Susan, I want to thank you for this extraordinary act of kindness and patriotism and charity. This is truly one of the most generous acts in the history of our country. I mean, you don't hear about things like that, and we got to let people know he doesn't want and she doesn't care about that, but I do. I think when somebody does that, you got to let them know about it. As I mentioned, this gift is being made possible by the largest tax cuts in American history, which our Republican majorities passed earlier this year, and the Speaker worked so hard, and John Thune and Jason and all of them, every one of them. Ted Cruz is with us. He worked so hard getting that done. That was the biggest, most consequential bill they say ever passed. And you know, if they remember, Michael, they thought we had to put that in 12 to 14 bills. I said, I don't know if we can hold it that long with the Democrats. And we said, let's try doing it once. So we did, and people were surprised, but we got it done. So I congratulate you guys. Amazing job. Under that bill, the federal government will also automatically be making a one-time seed contribution of $1,000 into the tax-deferred Trump accounts for every newborn U.S. citizen, fulfilling a promise I made in the 2024 campaign. Trump accounts should grow to be worth many thousands of dollars by the time the child is 18, and even more by the time they are 20 or even 30 years old. We think it's going to be something really unique and really special. We hope many others will follow Michael and Susan's example and make their own contributions. I'll be doing it too, to the next generation, including businesses, churches, philanthropists, family members, and parents themselves. I think we're going to have a lot of people, Susan. I think a lot of people are going to be contribute. A lot of people are watching us right now. They might not be $6 billion plus, but there'll be a lot. There aren't too many people that are in the 6 billion range. but there'll be a lot. A lot of friends of mine have already told me they're going to contribute a lot of money, and a lot of them are going to leave a lot of money in their wills, so that's very important. And as you watch us today, I hope you'll be doing that. Contributions to Trump accounts will also be a great benefit for employers to offer their workers, which they'll be able to do tax-free. It's tax-free. We expect hundreds of major companies to announce plans to contribute to these accounts in the coming months, and we've had tremendous interest in that regard. So the Trump accounts will be available starting on July 4th of next year. And Michael and Susan, to you again, it's an amazing act of just incredible everything. I mean, the life you've led to be able to do this, even to be able to, a lot of people have a good heart.
All right, everyone, going to cut into the president's speech here. We'll go back to it and, of course, have it in full if you would like here on WCNC Plus. I'm Colin Mayfield inside the Impact Studio. We're going to get to our next hour of content here on the Impact stream with our own Walker Lawson, who's going to talk a little bit about the economic outlook for the Business Alliance. And that is a big thing, obviously, because over the last couple of months, there's been a lot of uncertainty. I think not I guess, specifically in the Charlotte area, but I think nationally as a whole, and some of the statistics that people have seen haven't really eased those fears, right? And then you have the Labor Department canceling some of their Q3 and Q4 statistics. So it sounds like there's better news, though, in terms of Charlotte's economy. So we'll start with a broad question with the Business Alliance. Obviously, they are the big metric within the metro as of, they have a lot of touches on small businesses, large businesses. This is a huge banking city. So, what did they say? You talked to the CEO from U.S. Bank, Brian Moynihan.
Yeah, so really interesting. Obviously, they did talk about kind of the large scale nationally, but we focus more so on Charlotte, of course, and what the economy looks like for us. So their message is that Charlotte economy is on the right track, and that we're really we've built a strong foundation over the last couple of years to move forward in the way that we will in 2026. They really attribute the transit expansion as to something that's going to help businesses in this area. So we talk to people that were in the medical field that say, nationally, Americans miss about 4 million Americans miss their doctor's appointments, and having access to transit like this and additional resources will allow people to make it to those doctor's appointments, and specifically like the Pearl District where we've talked about, where they are working on, the medical field and trying to make sure that more people can come to the area. But Bank of America, in a sense, had also talked a lot about how you want to attract younger people and youth, and by doing so, you want to have a city that is easy to get around. That's what people want. I mean, you look at New York City as an example, where it's easier to get around. A lot of these bigger cities in the Northeast, that people can easily get on transit and get to their jobs from point A to point B. So really talking about how this 1 cent sales tax is kind of laid the groundwork for us. And then they talked a little bit about the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance talked about how there was record-breaking growth with over 7,000 jobs and $1.4 billion of potential investment on the table. So really seeing Charlotte's economy grow, which is a good thing, of course, for us to see. And, of course, transit, they said was not everyone was sold on it, but it was still something that they feel is beneficial to the area.
Walker, you did a lot of stories on development over the last, it pains me to say it's been about a year since I think you've been here.
Almost,
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. My memory isn't as bad as I thought.
Mine's as bad as it.
So yeah. Anyway, so you've seen firsthand that there's a lot of development going in. I don't know. Did you do the story, on ERCAD, that world-class experimental education surgical?
I had not. No.
Okay. Yeah. So there's this, and I'm sure you know of this. This is Innovation Center going in, and actually I need to reach out to their marketing team. So if they're listening, you will get a bunch of calls and emails from me, because this innovation, this place is going to bring a ton of economic impact with it, because surgeons from across the world are going to be coming to Charlotte. And in this study, it said anywhere from 9,000 to 10,000 surgeons a year. Doctors are paid some of the best in the economy in the world because of what the work that they do, and they deserve that, obviously. Did they talk about any specific projects like that have really given them this optimism for this next year or even beyond?
Yeah, I mean, and they talked about the Pearl District being, this big area where medicine is kind of another area where they're looking at hopefully that this transit addition will help. There are numbers that have shown that there is expected to be a shortage of nurses and people going into the medical field, and they said really just trying to tap into the younger kids and letting them see an area like the Pearl District and letting them, like local schools, bring their kids out, letting them come out and see these careers will eventually, they hope, down the pipeline, encourage more people to go into that industry as well. So, that is, the Pearl District was a big economic investment into the city of Charlotte to try to get more people into this area. So it will be interesting to see. They said Charlotte is on fire right now, that the last couple of years of investment have been a big deal. And another company that we spoke to also said they probably wouldn't have invested in Charlotte 30 years ago if the airport would have not put in all of this investment into becoming the hub that it is and to allowing more flights to other places. So they kind of use that also as an example of why when you see transit expansion, it might draw in more businesses to the area, because they say the airport being such a hub that it was able to become was a big investment for them, because if Charlotte Douglas wouldn't have been able to have them travel, internationally or to these other places, they might not have decided to run the company out of Charlotte.
I mean, a major finance group, SoFi, just announced that they were going to move part of their company and make a presence here in Charlotte over the last 6 months. You've got Citigroup, you've got Pacific Life, Scout Motors that made a $207 million investment. So there are a lot of huge companies. Obviously, this is the second biggest banking hub in America here, Charlotte, North Carolina. So there's a lot of opportunity. And as you said, I think people made their voice heard with the 1 cent sales tax infrastructure. I think that, I was having a discussion with somebody that's actually from Charlotte at our church over this past weekend, and he was saying he's worried that Charlotte in and of itself is a little bit behind in terms of infrastructure. And I think people feel that frustration, right? On just a regular Saturday or Sunday, you might be running up against traffic on 77 or 85. But I also think that alludes to a lot of the economic growth that you are kind of talking about that has come to this area. And then, on top of that, you have people that are just moving here, families and whatnot. So it does promote a big opportunity, but there's a huge stewardship piece of this that I think, people that are in power need to think about. So some interesting things. As far as the CEO from U.S. Bank, what interesting things did he have to say to you today?
Yeah, so they pretty much said, for them, the big deal is going to be, they really did go into transit as like the prime thing that they see being this like spur for the area, of course. And he also tapped into the youth that you want to see. They want to bring it, they only have about an 8% turnover rate. So they were saying that you're going to see they're going to need to hire about 12 to 13,000 new hires next year alone. So it will be interesting to see, they want 300 to 400 that are around college kids. So just really trying to bring more youth into this area, of course, and I think making a place where people feel is safe, a place that people feel like they can get around, a place that they feel like is fun. The city's working on really trying to tap into local sports. We're seeing that and trying to get people out and about and trying to give them more options outside of South End, but giving, the Iron District is something that's in the works that we've talked about. All of these different development projects and trying to get people more excited about the city to get them to stay.
I got to ask, did anybody talk about the immigration operation or the enforcement that happened? Because, let's be honest, that hurts people's bottom lines. We saw businesses closed specifically to the Latin community, right? But that affects our entire community. I mean, when you have a huge swath of South Boulevard or Central Avenue or a certain part of Charlotte shut down, just like we saw in Chicago, that is a big issue for all of us who live in Charlotte. Did they talk anything about that, I guess?
Yeah, so they talked about some policies that you see from the administration where things like tariffs and different things. They kind of didn't fully go into all explanations about what they kind of see, and they say those are still discussions. Of course, immigration, you want good people here that want to work and, of course, invest in businesses. So it was a brief discussion while we were there.
Okay. I get it. Awesome. I appreciate you, being a part of all this development news, because it's good to talk to somebody who's an expert in this. And I think that's why, we have you cover that kind of lane. I know sometimes it can be tough to beat the streets on the
a little bit easier when you're from here and you've seen it.
Exactly. So appreciate your expertise in that way. And you can check out Walker's story tonight at 4, and then we've got something at 5 and 6, I believe, for you as well. So Walker, appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We've got a lot of content, so we'll be back right after this. All right, guys, we are back. The president, and it seems like the Speaker of the House is speaking right now. Let's go to this in real time.
Do it. They wouldn't have philanthropists and great Americans with big hearts like this who've earned their way and really fulfilled the American dream. And they have a vision and a desire for more and more people to do that. And so now more and more Americans will. It kind of evens the playing field in a way, right? And everybody has an opportunity. So we're just excited to be a part of it, grateful to the vision, grateful to a president who leads from the front, who understands the potential of something like this. And this will be one of the many marquee achievements of the Trump administration. This will be one that people remember for a long, long time. And I think it can change the country. So thanks, Mr. President. Thanks, Brad, all of you for being a part. Thank you to the Dells. Really amazing. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you. Ted, please.
Well, I want to congratulate all the men and women up here. And, Mr. President, I think objectively on the merits, the case can be made that there has never been a president who's had a greater positive impact on the children of America than you have. And in particular, in this one big, beautiful bill, I think the two most long-lasting and far-reaching provisions are, number one, the school choice provision that you signed into law that is going to unleash tens of billions of dollars to scholarships to low-income kids all over the country and is going to change the lives of millions of kids. And the second provision is this provision right here, the Trump accounts. These Trump accounts, starting on July 4th, every child in America will have a personal investment account opened for them. Newborn children will have it seeded with $1,000. Parents and family and employers can contribute up to $5,000 a year in a tax-advantaged account. That money will be invested in the S&P 500 in the stock market, broad-based equity index account. Two massive benefits that change this country. Number one, every child in America will experience the benefits of compound growth. Take a little girl born next year. She's born next year. She has the account opened for her. $1,000 is automatically seeded. Her parents or family or an employer puts $5,000 a year each year into that account. If you assume the historic rate of growth of the S&P 500, which is 7% a year, by the time that little girl is 18, she will have $170,000 in that account. And if she keeps saving, by the time that little girl is 35, she will have $700,000 in that account. That is game-changing, and we're not talking the children of Michael and Susan Dell, the children of Donald Trump, the children of people of great success. We're talking the kids of a single mom waiting tables who could have $700,000 saved by the time she's 35 to get an education, to start a business, to buy a house. That changes their whole lives. But the second benefit, and what I'm really excited about, is we are creating a new generation of capitalists. Every child in America is going to be an owner of the biggest employers in this country. We've all seen the sad statistics of how many kids are losing faith in capitalism. Well, 10 years from now, a little boy is going to pull out his phone and he's going to look at his app and he's going to see his Trump account. And instead of thinking of big, bad, scary corporations, that little boy is going to say, I own $50 of Apple. I own $100 of Dell. I own $75 of McDonald's. And every child is an owner of the biggest employers in this country. That will transform this country. Mr. President, thank you for signing it. Let me say, Brad, this would not be a law if Brad Gerstner did not pursue it with absolute dogged determination, relentless. I've gotten calls and texts from Brad at 6 a.m. and at 2 a.m. You may sleep less than the president, Brad, and that is a remarkable thing because I don't think he sleeps at all. And finally, I'll just say to Michael and Susan, incredible Texans, $6.25 billion is extraordinarily generous. Let me say, on behalf of 25 million kids who just got a gift from Michael and Susan, and it's not a gift of a video game, it's not a gift of a bicycle, it's an investment in their future. That changes their lives, and I hope and believe Michael and Susan are going to inspire millions across the country to do the same thing. When Congress passed Section 401k of the ERISA, I don't know that anyone realized how much it would change retirement plans. There's now trillions of dollars in 401k plans. They're going to be trillions of dollars in these. These are 401ks for kids. And Mr. President, these Trump accounts exist because you signed them. Thank you for your leadership. It's an honor to work with you.
Thank you very much, Joseph, if you would just say a couple of words, and Brett, come on up for a second.
Perfect. Thank you. First, I would just want to thank Michael and Susan for the kind gift. What you all have done will be transformational for 25 million kids. And a lot of people we can thank for the provisions in this big, beautiful bill, but there is no one to thank greater than President Donald Trump. And I'll tell you this, out of every executive I've ever worked with, there's no one that's been more engaging, no one that has been more involved. And the only reason why these investment accounts are in the big, beautiful bill is because he helped convince other members of Congress that this is a good idea. This has been something that has been discussed for a long time, but no one could ever get it passed. But who helped get it passed was Donald Trump. I can tell you that from day one throughout the process. And so that's going to affect millions of kids in their futures.
Thank you. I was not planning or prepared to speak today, but the gravity of the situation is not lost on me. I have 4 boys of my own, 13 and under, and on the heels of a $6 billion announcement, I hope that doesn't, go without some major headlines, that I will be making an announcement on my own that I will be contributing $60 to each one of my children's accounts today. Actually, to try to bring some levity to that, every parent, every grandpa and grandma can now look and say, I can get my grandkid this little toy or something, and maybe that's going to continue to happen. But there is a new option and another way for them to be able to invest and have a lasting legacy. And as a dad of 4 kids, seeing kids in our neighborhood, them to have that opportunity is something that not every day in Congress, as I've joked with my colleagues, is the most productive day in my career. But to be able to be a part of something like this is It makes everything worthwhile. I'm away from my kids a ton in this job, and being able to be a part of something like this, a small part that I played, is something that is transformational, and I'll be able to look back on this and be so grateful for this opportunity that I've had to be able to serve in Congress. Thank you so much. I appreciate the chance to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anybody have a question? Michael, Susan?
Yes.
Brad? Please.
Yeah, one for you two. If you could, did either of you say you're donating how much? First question. And Mr. President, is there an educational value to this in terms of not just the money in the account? What can kids learn in this account?
Well, I think they can learn a little bit about the free enterprise system, they can really learn a lot about how life works, how business works. They want to go out and make a living for themselves, because maybe it's going to be a lot more than we think, or maybe it's not going to be quite as much as we think, depending on what happens with the world and the market. We'll try and do very well in that regard too, but there's a lot of learning to be done, and I think this is a big step forward.
And your reaction, did either of you say you're donating how much?
Yeah, we already said it. It's $6.25 billion.
No, I mean, with the reaction between the two of you, someone came up with the idea.
Oh, sure. Oh, well, so we kind of started with a smaller amount, to be honest. And we started talking about Texas only at the beginning.
And adopting the state of Texas.
Right. And then we thought about it some more, and we thought
Got
about.
pretty excited about the idea.
Yep, and we went back and forth, and as we do on these things, and we
Got
ended
more
up.
and more excited, and next thing you know.
This is where we ended up. So, but
The
a
number kept climbing.
lot of discussion and consideration over a long period of time.
Yeah.
To,
I mean,
to
we
come to this.
believe
And
this
we feel
is
great about it.
the greatest investment that we could possibly make is in children, and we've been investing in children for over 26 years with our foundation.
Yeah, and you know, there are 30 states already that require at least one semester of financial literacy, and hopefully all 50 states will do that. And you know, as children begin to understand that they have these accounts, that creates a real need for our schools, our parents, our community organizations to really begin to grow financial literacy in the country, which can only be a good thing.
It's really an amazing moment that two people would do that kind of a contribution. I mean, it's just an amazing moment. And it shows you there's a tremendous heart in great entrepreneurs. He's a great entrepreneur. They're both great entrepreneurs, because he probably wouldn't have done it without you, to be honest. That's the way it often works. And I know this relationship so well. There could be a lot of truth to that. But it shows you that there's a big heart in some pretty tough people. He's a tough cookie, but he's got a very, very warm spot. And what you've done, I don't think it's going to be talked about for a long time. It won't be forgotten. Thank you, sir.
May I ask a question? Thank you, sir. My question is about the logistics or the administration of the program. You obviously want to help poorer children. How will you help families perhaps who don't have access to computers or internet at home to make this program a reality?
Brad, do you want to maybe answer that question?
Sure. And please speak in the microphone if you don't mind.
Well, first, Treasury, as the Secretary talked about, is going to be administering the program. And we should just say that Luke Pettit, the Assistant Treasury Secretary, has just done an extraordinary job with the Secretary in what I think will be the biggest consumer launch in the history of government. 60 million accounts are going to get created next year. And these accounts are going to be promulgated. All parents are going to have to do is to claim the account. So if they have access to an Android phone or a public library to go to a computer and gain access, they can claim that account. And whether they claim it or not, the account is going to continue to compound. So they don't have a deadline by which they have to claim the account. There's time, right? And there's going to be...
Folks, we've got a lot going on right now. Obviously, the president and the Dells talking about the $6.25 billion they are giving to contribute to 25 million American children to give them strong starts and a foundation, apparently they say. But we've got some awesome news on the top left corner of your screen. Belmont Christmas Parade going on not too far from McAdenville, which is, of course, Christmastown, USA. And then the lower part of your screen, Wisconsin. Hugh Jackman serving cops ice cream. If you ever get a chance to try Kopp's and you're in Wisconsin, it is amazing ice cream. But there's a lot of great ice cream around Wisconsin because of all the dairy that is available. But a cold winter up there, but Hugh Jackman, a warm face, greeting so many Wisconsinites today. So we'll continue to watch these 3 screens for you and these developing stories in real time. We'll go back to listen in on the president's presser.
Get it.
Daniel, you have a question?
Yes, sir. These programs seem to create an opportunity for parents to create unprecedented financial security for their children, sir. Do you believe that these accounts will be a big part of your legacy when everything goes down? We've heard talks about you being legacy as a peacemaker, but this is a really, really big deal.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do think so, and I think it's a big part of everybody up here today. This was a group that was very instrumental, and in particular, obviously, Michael and Susan, it's a big part of their legacy. You know, they've got a big legacy anyway, but this is maybe going to be as important or more important than anything they've done thus far. It's, you know, looking back in 100 years from now, I think you're going to see some things that they'll be talking about this very day. So thank you for that question. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. These accounts were originally discussed as a way to incentivize people to have more children. Are there any other policy proposals you're looking at like this to encourage the birth rate to increase?
Well, we are looking at programs. We're looking at, there's a certain Australian plan that people are liking and they're talking about. You know what I mean? There's a plan where, not for children necessarily, but it's for people, working people. And we are looking at other things different from this. I think this is very unique, but different from this, but very important. Yeah.
You mean the Australian retirement savings program?
Say it?
You mean the Australian retirement savings program?
That's what they're talking about. Yep, we're looking at it very seriously. It's a good plan. It's worked out very well. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you talk about what tax benefits these accounts come with? The information sheet that we just received said that when a child turns 18, they'll be treated like traditional IRAs and subject to a 10% withdrawal tax.
Please,
can you speak to when our children be able to access these funds?
They can access them when they're 18, or they can convert them to an IRA at that time. During the 18 years, parents or employers can donate with the tax deduction up to $5,000 into each account, and then philanthropists, like Michael and Susan, can add an unlimited amount to the accounts. So $5,000 from employees or families, and then gifts from foundations and philanthropists can be an unlimited amount.
Mr. President, you said that you have been talking to your wealthy friends, as well as you, Mr. Dell, about contributing. Can you walk us through maybe who you've been talking to and how much more we can expect on top of
I think the people you probably would think I would be talking to. There's a group of people out there that have been very successful, and we've already started talking to them. You know, we're doing ballrooms, we're doing arcs, we have a thing that's being planned that's going to be a great tribute to the country, as you know. You probably heard about it. The arc that we're looking at by the bridge near Arlington, there's going to be something. We're doing some other things for Washington itself and for the country itself. But a lot of the people that have, you know, gone in and done a real job with that. The ballroom, I think Michael and Susan, the next time we meet, well, I think hopefully we'll meet before then, but we're going to have a big event over at the ballroom to celebrate this. We're building a ballroom that they've wanted at this beautiful White House for 150 years. They've wanted it so badly. Right now we can hold 109 people if you're lucky in a room. It's a beautiful room, but it's 109 people, and we're building something. You see the trucks in the back. You see the clanging, the banging, and when it's completed, it'll be one of the greatest ballrooms anywhere in the world. It's going to be amazing. So people that were involved in that process, I have a lot of friends with a lot of success, and every one of them, I would be shocked if anyone turns us down. We're going to have a lot of big contributors, Jeff.
On a separate topic, if I may, sir, you had a call with Brazil's President Lula today. Can you tell us what you discussed?
Yeah, we had a great talk. We talked about trade. We talked about sanctions, because, as you know, I sanctioned them, having to do with certain things that took place. But we had a very good talk. I like him. Very good. We had some good meetings, as you know. But we had a very good talk today. Yes, I did.
You also pardoned the former president of Honduras, and he was released from prison
I
yesterday.
did. Well, he was the president, and they had some drugs being sold in their country, and because he was the president, they went after him. That was a Biden horrible witch hunt, which was, a lot of people in Honduras asked me to do that, and I did it. I feel very good about it. If you have some drug dealers in your country and you're the president, you don't necessarily put the president in jail for 45 years. That was a Biden-inspired witch hunt.
Did his letter impact your decision on that,
Yeah,
sir,
please,
from
go
Mr.
ahead.
Stone?
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Your decisions, recent decisions to Syria, renewed many hopes for the Syrian people. And now the minorities in Syria, like Kurds, Christians, and Jews, they want help, U.S. help them to have some sort of autonomy and their rights being protected in Syria. How do you
We're going to give them help, and I think Syria has come a long way. The new leader of Syria was here, as you know, 3 weeks ago, and he was really into making that country, bringing the country around. Not an easy job. Not an easy job. It's centuries of problems. But I think he's going to do a good job. I mean, I have a lot of confidence in him. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
In the broader context of the economy with these childhood investments, we just saw the biggest Black Friday in history, up 4.1% from last year, $26 billion. Kevin told me about that. We also saw that they're going to spend $1 trillion on Christmas this year, $1 trillion. Increasing 4.1%. 25 states, gas is below $3, a handful below $2.50 and getting better. Energy policy matters. The economy
I like
matters.
this guy.
And timing matters.
Who are you with?
Real American Voice.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
But
I like
timing
it very
matters.
much. Keep talking.
So to invest with these children now, the economy, the better the economy is, the better for the children, right? We're in a pretty good spot right now.
Sure. Well, I do, and I appreciate it. No, we have an amazing thing going. We have over almost $20 trillion of investment coming in. I don't even know if you know that. 20 trillion, that's a lot by any standard, right? But Biden, as an example, I say this, his administration over a 4-year period had much less than $1 trillion. And we're up to 18, I guess right now, Scott, about 18 trillion in 10 months. And there's never been a country, China, no country has ever done anything even close to that. Even if you figure 20% of that, no country's done 20%. And it's because of tariffs and and I think because of November 5th, the election day. But we have now under construction, I guarantee you're expanding a lot of your different places, right, for Dell. But we have places like that. We have car companies. We have AI coming in at levels. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's amazing. And all of these places, hundreds and hundreds of plants, thousands, they're going to be opening, and they're going to be producing a lot of success, a lot of jobs. And I say it all the time. The king of Saudi Arabia said to me a year ago, he said, 1 year ago, your country was dead. And now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world, and that's what we have. And it's one of the reasons Michael's able to do this. It's one of the reasons I'm able to be here and, having really run a very successful campaign. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by millions. We won the districts. I'll tell you, the district vote is the most impressive. 2,750 compared to 550. That's some difference. And we just had a tremendous election and a tremendous vote of confidence. And thank you very much for that question. Thank you.
On immigration, subsidies. Will you make a deal with Democrats?
Thank you, press.
Mr. President.
Thank you, press.
Will you make a deal with Democrats on ACA subsidies?
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll be back right after this. All right, folks, just like that, we are back. We're going to go to this stabbing in California right now. It's, pull up a little bit more. About an 11-year-old boy who is dead after the stabbing that just occurred here today. His father, a former Sacramento deputy, is suspected of killing him. Of course, we're going to go to the comments from local police department and law enforcement as they conduct their investigation. Very preliminary stuff, though.
The children that were at home with their father. Our officers responded to the 7600 block of Farrell Way. When they arrived on scene, they found an 11-year-old boy who was stabbed and a 6-year-old who was unharmed. The father had already left the scene before we got there. The 11-year-old was transported to a local hospital where he passed away. Outside agencies located the suspect vehicle and the suspect on I-5 and Pocket Road. A pursuit ensued from there, where it ended here on I-5 and Highway 12, which resulted in an officer-involved shooting. CHP will be handling the officer-involved shooting investigation.
Do we know how many times this young boy was stabbed?
We do not know that information at this time.
Do we know what led the mother to believe that something was wrong in that home?
So there are cameras inside the residence, and the mother had seen that an assault had happened between the father and the son, and she called police immediately for us to respond.
Had you responded to that house in the past for any incidents prior to this?
We had only responded to that residence once before, and it was this past October for a medical call.
And what goes through your mind learning that this was a former deputy, someone that was in law enforcement, that is accused of this crime of taking his son's life?
We won't be commenting on anything regarding this being a former deputy. We'll leave that to Sacramento County.
Anything that you want to say about this investigation in that home?
It's just absolutely awful, and we never want to see any children getting hurt.
Where is that young person now, the 6-year-old, who was able to be unharmed?
The 6-year-old is safe right now. She was unharmed.
Do we know
speak to the number of agencies that are here?
I do not know the number of agencies that are here right now.
And you said the pursuit was stopped right in this area. I guess, can you walk us through, what it means for a pursuit to be stopped? What happened for you guys to stop the vehicle here, and what happened after that?
For the pursuit, because it was an outside agency that did take over the pursuit, then we're going to let CHP do the conversation for that. Any other questions?
How expansive is the scene? Like, what do we see here in front of us and behind us?
Again, because the pursuit was not our scene, then we're going to leave that to CHP to comment on.
Can you say if a weapon was found in the car or anything like that?
We didn't find any, we can't talk about what was found in the vehicle at the residence. We did find an empty gun safe, but we didn't find any guns at the residence.
What do we know about the condition of that former deputy who was shot?
We don't have an update at this time for his condition.
Is he still alive?
We don't have an update for his condition at this time.
We'll bring in Amar Gandhi now, Sacramento County Sheriff's Office. And Amar, after learning that this was one of your former deputies, what can you tell us about this tragedy?
Yeah, and I mean, it's unfortunate, first of all, for that 11-year-old and their family. That's our primary thoughts right now. I can confirm he is a former deputy who was terminated in February of last year from our agency, so he was not active, did not have any peace officer powers or any other affiliation with that. I can tell you Sheriff Cooper was one of the first, actually on his way to work, spotted the suspect vehicle. Other agencies obviously came in, and I heard the other question asked. I mean, there's roughly a dozen agencies here, so it really kind of speaks volumes to the support this region has as far as law enforcement partners go. As far as the officer-involved shooting portion of it, like we mentioned, it'll be a concurrent investigation between actually several agencies. The Highway Patrol obviously is primary on it. We'll have investigators assigned to it to run it concurrent as well, and I believe some other agencies will. I believe also San Joaquin County DA's office is here.
Do we know how many shots were fired? We know that that former deputy was hit.
I don't. Again, a lot of that's going to stem on the CHP side of it. They're going to be the primary for the actual officer-involved shooting portion of it.
Could you speak as to why that former deputy was terminated from the agency?
It's been well published. He was caught using illicit drugs. And then there's some other issues, but I mean, you can find all that. That's readily available. So.
Do we know if the mother lived at that house? Was she away at work? Or what was the situation during the assault? Where was the mother?
I don't know. Again, that's more on the Elk Grove side of it. Our involvement on this is kind of limited in terms of that scope. We were involved, obviously, with his previous employment, and then, obviously, and then from there, obviously, our involvement here with the pursuit and capture.
But he never faced criminal charges for this, right? He was fired.
He was fired from our agency back in February, correct? From an incident back in September of 23.
What was his character like, or for those who knew him prior to this happening?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know him. So he was assigned to a patrol division at the time. So.
He was a supervisor?
No. He was just a patrol deputy.
But just to hear that a former officer, a former deputy was involved in something like this.
I mean, it's gross, right? It's nobody wants to hear about anyone involved in an incident, previous like that, especially a deputy, and then to have something like this stem from it. It's, like I said, our primary thoughts are with that family right now. It's kind of an ancillary piece, so that's kind of where our attention is focused, just more on that.
And Amar, are you able to talk about, I guess, the pursuit on your guys' end, what that looked like before ending up right here?
Fairly limited, just in the sense of he was spotted on the freeway on I-5. Like I said, Sheriff Cooper was actually there physically himself, was the first one from our agency that was there. Other units got involved. I can confirm we had 2 deputies from our agency that actually fired that were part of the OIS. I can't comment on any other agencies that were involved beyond that. So.
How did Sheriff Cooper know what kind of car he was in?
And this is again a testament to the partnership of law enforcement in this region and how quick information gets shared. Really big testament to Elk Grove PD and their investigative prowess. They got that information out quickly to not just us, but to every agency around. They found not only the vehicle image, but got that information as far as a potential direction of travel. We're able to get that out to us, and obviously, it worked.
Do we know if the mom and dad lived together? Were they separated, divorced?
I don't have that.
Mar, is there any sense of, when the stop unfolded right here, what played out for the deputies that were part of the sheriff's office to draw the weapon?
I'll let CHP handle that more of that side of it, but obviously, we did have a lot of information on his history. We did hear that he was armed, so this was taken with full caution. This was a big red handle.
Other challenges for CHP in investigating this to the extent that this is going to take a while?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, that I can confidently say just from any layman perspective, right? You look at this crime scene tape behind you, it's expansive. There's obviously the suspect vehicle behind us, obviously a big impact on the freeway, but CHP is more than capable, but we'll have investigators assigned to it as well.
Tell us more about that stop, though. Did he try to fight back in any way?
Like I said, all of that right now. There's a lot to unfold, and this is going to take hours upon hours. So if we'll be here well past dark.
When did you first learn that it was a former deputy that was a suspect in this case?
This morning, again, just after. Again, a big shout out to Elk Grove PD. They were not only there, but information that was shared to law enforcement partners quickly allowed that information to get to us, so we found out pretty quick when that happened, and then allowed for the capture. So, and actually, I believe Highway Patrol is here and able to comment, so I'll bring unless you guys have any more for me, I'll let them kind of maybe take the reins. Cool. All right.
Can you state your name, please?
Yes. Chief Tyler Eccles. Last name is spelled E-C-C-L-E-S. First Tyler, T-Y-L-E-R.
What can you tell us about this tragedy unfolding in the community today?
Yeah, I can only speak to what occurred after the tragic incident from this morning, that the suspect was identified traveling southbound on I-5. There was a group of officers that located him. Subsequently, CHP personnel deployed a spike strip as a result of that pursuit. The suspect shortly thereafter was involved in a solo vehicle collision, which came to rest behind us here that you've seen earlier, and subsequently an officer-involved shooting occurred. And that's the degree of information that I can share at this time.
Do we know if that former deputy tried to fire back or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't have any of those details as of yet. That's all going to work itself out through our investigation.
And how long was that chase that they were involved in?
I don't have the exact distance or duration of time.
You might be able to say whether or not he was in or outside of the vehicle when shots were fired?
I don't have that degree of information at this time either.
This is a tragedy in our community. What goes through your mind when you learn that this was someone in law enforcement that you were now having to pursue and then getting into an officer-involved shooting?
Yeah, it certainly is a very tragic event. The allegations that have come forward, and we mourn with the community who is mourning at this time as well.
Where do we go from here as far as this investigation is concerned and the roadway for motorists?
Yeah, so our goal is to make sure that we, along with our partners, conduct a very robust investigation, but we also know that, we're affecting traffic. And so one of our priorities is to open as many lanes as possible as soon as we possibly can. But in this type of incident where we have an officer-involved shooting, it just takes a little bit of time.
And where exactly is that car?
The vehicle,
from our vantage point.
The vehicle's a couple hundred yards behind me.
Do we know what kind of make or model that was?
I don't know specifically. It's an SUV, but I don't know the make and model.
Do we know what was found inside of that vehicle?
No, not yet.
And is that vehicle, is it on I-5 or is it here on this frontage?
It's on the frontage road, in between the freeway and the frontage road.
And considering that this happened, when obviously there's drivers passing by, obviously a fortunate situation that no one else was hurt.
Yes, it's very fortunate that no one else suffered any injury or even death after the tragic incident from this morning.
How do you go forward and work together with all of the agencies that are here today?
Yeah, there was a multitude of agencies that were involved, and we pre-planned for this. We have specific processes and protocols that we adopt and put in play when there are multiple agencies that are involved, and we've begun well into that process of making sure that those agencies that need to be involved are participating in this investigation.
We know we saw Stockton here and some other agencies. Are they going to be released from the scene now, or are they going to stay here throughout the day investigating?
Yeah, so we have a core group of individuals that'll be here investigating, and as you've seen a plethora of law enforcement officials on the freeway, we're actually in the process now of clearing most of the personnel from off the freeway itself, so we can begin the process of diagramming and investigating the incident that occurred.
What kind of evidence do you expect to find out here?
Every incident's different, every incident's unique, and so we don't presuppose what evidence we'll find.
Anything else that you want to say about this investigation?
No, I appreciate the time and attention given to this, of the tragedy that occurred this morning, but we commit on behalf of the California Highway Patrol with our partners to conduct the investigation that needs to be done.
And have you heard personally, the condition of the suspect?
I have not.
When do we expect to learn more on whether he survived?
I can probably get you an update here shortly.
To your knowledge, did that vehicle drive off the right side of I-5, ultimately resting where it is right now?
So obviously we're going to make that determination as part of the investigation, but we believe that is what occurred at this time.
Any idea how long you expect to be out here?
It's going to be a couple of hours.
I suppose any officers that were involved are probably no longer here, that they're getting debriefed or whatever it would be.
A vast majority of the personnel that were here on scene, both those involved in the incident and those that responded, have been cleared from the freeway.
Can you clarify if they were with the CHP or the Sheriff's Department?
I don't have exact clarification yet on the total number and specific individuals involved, but we'll have that soon.
And could this have all unfolded and been caught on their dash cams?
It's possible. I don't have the answer to that right now.
Your last message to the community regarding this incident
is that we mourn with the tragedy of what was alleged this morning, and on behalf of the California Highway Patrol to the community, we are conducting a thorough investigation.
And I'm sorry if I missed this, but was he armed with a gun or something? Do we know that at this point?
That's all going to be part of the investigation that we're just beginning the process of. Thank you all.
All right, everyone, we did get some breaking news. We did want to break to you here on our WCNC Plus stream. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins threatening to cut off federal funding to Democratic-leaning states. This is in her alleged apparent statement of refusal to share SNAP benefits program data from these specific states. And in her statement, she said that the administration will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states starting next week until they comply. She said that 29 29 red states complied, but 21 blue states continue to say no. And as we know, obviously North Carolina did vote blue or did go blue in the last election. So it sounds like the non-compliant states also include California, New York, Minnesota as well. So more to come from this as this deals with, again, SNAP program data that was needing to be sent to the Trump administration, and they are now threatening to cut off the federal funding for SNAP programs to these specific states. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back. We're going to go to our weather impact team right now. I do believe Becca has more for us on what we can expect not only today, but through the rest of the week.
Good Tuesday afternoon. It was a wet, messy, and active morning with widespread rain. We also saw some freezing rain up towards the higher elevations. Well, the good news is the rain is ending. Total, we accumulated anywhere from about half an inch to up to about an inch, which is actually more than the entire month of November. Now, we will see clouds eventually clearing out tonight. That means it's going to be turning cold as we go into your early morning hours. Now, what we're also watching for is another round of cold rain and some wintry mix arriving for your Friday. High temperatures today will be feeling a little bit more like a January average, around 50 degrees for the greater Charlotte area under lots of cloud cover, and lower to middle 40s up towards the mountains. Headed off to the McAnnonville Lights. Well, yesterday was the official tree lighting ceremony, so this evening is going to be a nice one. We'll see rain-free conditions and temperatures that continue to fall into the lower 40s, with clouds eventually clearing out. Again, this is going to allow for a pretty cold night ahead as temperatures dip below freezing. Lower 30s to start here in the Piedmont and lower 20s over towards the high country. We've got another round of rain, widespread rain coming. This is going to arrive early Friday morning and linger potentially into your weekend as well. In fact, only looking like minimal impacts, but we'll see drier conditions for both Wednesday and Thursday as the system continues to push off to the east. A high pressure system will take over control, but this is going to be chilly sunshine as we look ahead towards the end of the work week. Temperatures will fall into the 30s tonight, but that's going to be the frost and freeze zone that we stay in, 30s and 20s pretty much from tomorrow morning, extending through the weekend into early next week as well. So tomorrow, yes, we will have sunshine, but it's not exactly going to be a warm one. A high temperature is still about 8 to 10 degrees below average for this time of year. Upper 40s to lower 50s will add more cloud cover to the mix for your Thursday. And then here comes that next system for Friday. Look at that, a high temperature of 40 degrees with the potential for some winter weather to mix in as well. Now, this is going to depend on two things, timing and temperatures. And right now, there are a lot of inconsistencies with the model, so a lot to fine-tune between now and then, but we're starting to get a better idea of what Friday morning will look like. This is 2 o'clock. Temperatures below freezing here in the mountains. This is early in the morning, I would say, and we'll see that potential for rain, snow to mix in from the mountains alongside I-40, but you'll notice that pink, that's that wintry mix there, and the potential for some freezing rain that gets awfully close to the Charlotte area, so something that we will be watching. Nothing set in stone and nothing rolled out just yet. We'll carry that rain and winter weather chance all the way through the afternoon and evening, pushing out by Friday night to few showers possible for Saturday. So I'd say Saturday is starting to see some improving conditions as well. We are in the start of meteorological winter. This is when we measure those winter months between December, January, and February. So it is different than the astronomical start of winter, which is December 21st. But if you look at these average temperatures for December 1st, the beginning of December, 58 degrees. That average high goes down to 52 for January 1st all the way through the 15th. But if you look at the temperatures this week, well, it feels a lot like we're in the middle of winter in this Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. For today, rain continues to clear out. We'll keep the clouds, chilly, damp conditions with a high temperature right around 50. It does get cold tonight into early tomorrow morning, and it stays chilly throughout the day, but sunshine finally back into the forecast. More clouds come for your Thursday, still dry, and then here comes the rain, wintry mix early Friday. We'll carry that chance throughout the day. It's going to be chilly. Most of us will be staying in the 30s throughout the day, so another cold rain expected. A few lingering rain chances into the weekend, but right now looking at minimal impact, so if you're headed to the ACC championship, should be good to go.